All right, so hey everybody. I wanted to give ChargeZoom a few minutes to talk real quick. They had the privilege. No, I'm just joking. They sponsored this for us, right? So we're privileged to have them here joining us and helping make this happen. So first off, before I let them talk, let's give them a round of applause at home. Come on, let's get some hands together for ChargeZoom. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over for a few minutes for Sean here. He is our primary point of contact with ChargeZoom. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit, and then I will come back up. Then Don will join us from GrowthZilla. So have at it.
Awesome. Hey, let's give it up for Keith, right? I mean, he's crushing it right now. Awesome. Yeah, and guys, thank you so much for letting us be a part of your day. This partnership between ChargeZoom and NAB is really, really great. It's really wonderful. It's skyrocketing right now via a couple different channels, including a secure merchant and a few others. So I'm excited to get the information to all of you today, everyone listening at home. So let's jump right into it, right? So we're a radically simple solution and a radically simple way to help you gain a bigger portfolio and a bigger share of the market, right? And to be more profitable, right? And so what do I mean by that? So when you think of invoicing, what does that make you think of? Which market? Anybody? Invoicing, right? B2B, right? B2B. Anybody here in the B2B space right now? Anybody? Would anyone like to be? Right? It's a $33 trillion market, right? And a big chunk of that, guys, are businesses not even taking credit cards, right? So there's a huge opportunity. Anybody talk to merchants who use QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Xero, right? That's about what 90 to 100 million QuickBooks users, FreshBooks and Xero, right? So it's a huge market. So we're that radically simple solution to get you into that marketplace, right? So what do we actually do? Again, we're a radically simple solution for the merchants as well, right? We're a radically simple solution that'll save the merchants time and reduce friction in their payments, right? So we connect their online payments to their accounting software. We save time, we save the effort, right? Anyone here ever work with an accountant before or do any payment reconciliation? I actually did an internship one summer with a CPA where that was literally my job, right? So here's a list of transactions, here's a list of receipts, a list of payments, and then here's all the invoices in QuickBooks. Here you go, match them all up. Or I should say, try to match them all up, right? It takes a ton of time doing that at the end of the night, end of the week. I've talked to merchants who literally spend 6 to 12 hours a week sometimes manually reconciling to their QuickBooks. Does anyone in here like using QuickBooks? Most merchants don't, right? They really don't like using it, right? So if you tell them, hey, I can offer a solution that's going to save you time in QuickBooks, because I know you probably don't like spending all that time, right? I mean, that's a huge win for them, right? Again, another huge thing with us. So a couple things. We're the only two-way sync in the market right now, right? So two-way sync. There's no button you need to push. There's no CSV file you need to upload. Everything's a two-way sync between ChargeZoom and the merchant's accounting software. We're actually QuickBooks certified, which is a big deal, right? QuickBooks, they put us through their intense, testing, made sure that we met their standards. They completely hacked the software up, make sure that everything was foolproof. So we are in the QuickBooks App Store along with some of the bigger players, right? The Stripes, the Squares, we're there with them, right? Cool. So what's that number one feature that merchants who are using Intuit Payments or Stripe, what's that number one feature they're using? Anyone know? It's that email pay feature, right? So they create an invoice and they email it out to the customer and boom, click here to pay, right? It's really simple. It makes collecting way easier, way more simple, right? Now here's the thing. Has anyone ever seen what the email or the invoice or the pay portal that Stripe uses or QuickBooks uses, right? It's literally an advertisement for QuickBooks, right? It has the QuickBooks branding all over the invoice, all over the pay portal. It's got that ugly QuickBooks green, right, all over the invoice. Does anyone like that green? I had to make sure no one was wearing that color right now, right? Right. It's got that nasty QuickBooks green. It literally says, guys, here's your QuickBooks invoice from John's manufacturing company, right? Or with Stripe, same thing. The invoice looks like that big purple monster, right? It's all Stripe branding. It's going to say, here's your Stripe invoice from Mary's manufacturing company, right? I mean, it's literally an advertisement for those companies. With ChargeZoom, you're going to be offering that merchant a personalized invoice, a branded pay portal, right? It's going to have that company's logo, that company's name attached to the email, attached to the invoice, attached to the pay portal, right? So it's a branded solution. Guys, no setup fees with us. We actually had originally a slide with pricing, and we took it off. Not because Keith said it, but I don't know. I think there's some synergy there. But guys, pricing does start with us at $20 a month. Okay, it does start at $20 a month. There's a few other plans that we could go into. I'm not going to go too much into it right now, but maybe we can talk later and we can talk about our different plans, right? Everything is quick and simple and easy with us, right? So step one would be, say you have a merchant who's using QuickBooks or who's doing invoicing, right? Card not present, right? Set up a 5-minute, literally a 5-minute demo call with us. Literally, I'm done in 5 minutes. I'll help close a deal for you in 5 minutes, right? The onboarding, there's no software to install to the merchant's computer, right? Everything's cloud-based. It's literally a 5-minute setup, sometimes even shorter than that, right? So again, we're radically simple. We're very user-friendly. Everything is nice and tight and simple and easy to use and to set up as well, all right? Guys, so use us as part of your sales force, okay? We'll do all the selling for you. We'll help qualify the merchant for you. We'll even help you identify opportunities as well in the marketplace for you guys, all right? And we'll help increase that stickiness, right? Research shows that when you offer those features, everybody knows, you've all heard about it. Hey, do you have a pay portal? Do you have a customer portal? Do you have automatic payment reminders? When you offer those features, the life cycle of that merchant extends 16 months, right? They'll stay longer with you because now they don't have a reason to say, hey, maybe I should call QuickBooks and say if they have that feature, or maybe I should talk to Stripe. No, because my agent already set me up with that solution. I love it. It's branded. It's quick. It's easy. It's simple, right? Now, a question that we get all the time is, hey, Sean, hey, ChargeZoom, what are some verticals that I should go after, right? What B2B card not present, who can I call? Who can I look into? We're actually doing a webinar a week from today. So Tuesday, it's going to be a real quick, short and simple webinar, 10 to 15 minutes, where we're actually going to go into, hey, how do you qualify card not present? How do you go after card not present? What are those verticals? What are those different merchants that I haven't tapped into yet, that really nobody's tapped into, right? Again, $33 trillion industry, and most of those businesses not even taking credit cards right now, okay? So there's huge opportunity there. We're doing another webinar specifically with the NAB agent network in a couple weeks as well. But next Tuesday, that's going to be a nationwide ChargeZoom webinar that we're setting up. So please sign up, register for that. That's going to be a week from today. And guys, that's really it. Again, I want to keep it short and simple. If you have any questions, come talk to us. We would love to get you guys a drink, and meet afterwards. For everybody listening at home, there's my contact information. If you have any questions, want to set up a demo for yourself, we'd be happy to do that. But again, the calls with your merchants, literally in 5 minutes, we're done. Onboarding takes a couple minutes. And thank you guys, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean, appreciate it. Right. And everybody, like I said, I will be sending out all these slides to you afterwards. So I have to parse some of them down because obviously with movies and some of the movement and different things, we'll do it in a PDF that we can actually send. So again, thank you ChargeZoom for sponsoring today and helping make this happen. Don, come on up. I want to introduce you guys to Don from GrowthZilla. If you guys have ever had the fortunate pleasure of sitting on a demo with Don, He crushes it. And yeah, don't forget to tag us, NAB Transcend, post pictures, take pictures of us up here, speaking, having fun, bringing value. We want to be able to find them later, share them, and bring value to others as well. So on that note, Don, please speak into the microphone as if so everybody virtually can hear you.
Sounds good.
And here's a clicker, big button will advance you. And guys,
Awesome.
give it up for Don. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll be going over everything our point of sale, our booking engine does for people using our software, and that user base is primarily salons, barbershops, nail, so that's primarily who we serve. And what we have is a key tool where you're out there calling on businesses. If you're calling and come across exactly businesses in that space, you now have a solution you can bring to them. Go quick here. And yeah, our system is unique in that we have a check-in kiosk, so customers are self-signing in. They don't have to have a full-time front desk. Having them sign the customer in, where they might miskey something, put something in error, it's customers self-signing in. So in essence, the customers are creating that business owner's customer database for them. That is also cloud-based, so they're always storing everything that they need to know about the customer, key attributes, email address, key contact information, and over time, as that customer comes in and has different services, it's developing what their preferences are. Oh, this way. Okay, and we can run on either tablet or desktop for the point of sale piece of that. So we have the check-in tablet that's customer facing, but then of course behind the counter. It's that business owner's choice and what they have today. Key differentiator, if they're exclusively appointment-based, we recommend they run our system from a computer. Reason being, the computer has that calendar always on screen as far as which artists, stylists, barbers are available. In a tablet, it's a separate link to jump to the appointment view. But that's the key differentiator, and when we're on a demo with you guys teamed up, that guides us on whether we focus on showing them the computer instance of that or the tablet instance. And what we call Smart Checkout. We used to run Smart Checkout on a tablet, Android-based tablet, and then have the separate PIN pad. That has been upgraded now to, if you might be familiar with this, anyone recognize this device or have them installed? Yeah, it's the PAX Aries 8. So when the customer wants Smart Checkout, again, optional, that's the piece of hardware we utilize for that. It's got the chip reader, touchless payment, and our app, all within one device. So no longer a separate tablet for them to say how they're paying, tip, rating their service for that visit. Now they can do that right on the payment device itself. And that is what Smart Checkout performs, by the way. That's a customer-facing screen, again, where they're saying cash or card. When they select card, that business has the option of acknowledging the cash discount program, then how they'll be paying, or excuse me, the tip amount, and then also rating their service for that visit. That service rating is an internal rating for that business owner. If they ever give what we call a less than favorable, on a scale of 1 to 5, if they ever give a 1 or 2, that owner can receive a text with the customer's contact information. So it will notify the owner, hey, you need to reach out to this customer. There's something that needs to be resolved before they reach any actual ratings and review sites. And then the apps. We have a series of apps. Up until recently, all of our apps were internal to that business. So the owner has an app where they can see up to the minute what's happening with revenue, which employees are clocked in, how long they've been clocked in, and revenue per employee. And then each barber, artist, stylist has their own individual app where they're seeing their services, they can book new for themselves, see their upcoming appointments, and it gives them revenue tracking for customers they're involved with, and also gives them a loyalty count. So how many customers are coming in asking for them. The goal is through the app that the owner has a way to keep everyone focused on high repeat, high retention. Our newest app is consumer facing. So now it's not just internal apps, but apps facing the customer. So If that shop says, you know what, I'd love to have an app in the App Store where my customers can download it to book their appointments, see their last receipt, see their loyalty progress, we now have that. So consumer-facing as well as internal employee and owner apps. And the key, I got asked today, how did the name Growthzilla come about? Why is it named Growthzilla? And when our founder was developing the product, he looked at what it would perform, knowing the user base is primarily small businesses, and he thought, what is it that small businesses want? What are they really trying to achieve? Why would they use software? And he came up with the key of what any small business is trying to do is grow. Grow revenue, grow customer base, and that's how we came up with Growthzilla. I'll get into Uzelli in a moment, another unique name. But anyway, with check-in, 97% of clients will use their phone number to check in, so they're in essence building their profile for that business owner. So 97% capture rate. The owner can then market back to them with having that key contact information. For returning clients, it'll track their visits. As I mentioned, loyalty is part of the program. Anyone using 5-star, using something separate for loyalty, I called on one yesterday. We incorporate it all in one. And there are solutions out there that say, oh, you can do loyalty in our program. It's this add-on of $49 a month. Or you can do an online booking engine. It's this add-on of another $49 a month. We've tried to make the platform as all-inclusive as possible. So our goal is to not have add-ons, to have the platform accomplish everything your business owner is trying to accomplish. But of course, loyalty will track. For customers that don't return, it will automatically message them to their phone a "We've missed you" campaign. So it's doing, in essence, drip campaigns, keeping that business top of mind for the customer. We found that with loyalty rewards in place, customers do pay attention to where they are in their progress. We know, because if they ever need to make an update on their loyalty, we hear it from the business owner. Oh, this customer thinks they had one more visit to account on their profile. So customers do pay attention. With that, we've seen instances where it's generating additional $500 to $3,500 a month in revenue. How do we know that? Because when they unlock a reward, our system knows that, and it messages the customer, congratulations, with their loyalty offer. We know if it's come back in and they've applied it, and what revenue they had on that visit. So, of course, the goal is to retain clients, accelerate growth, using Uzelli's Miss You and referral campaigns. Supports referral as well. So any business that says, I want to give a benefit to anyone who refers a customer, it can be set up to do just that, text an automatic offer when they refer someone. And they can also have it go to both the referring party as well as the person that was referred. Save time and minimize errors. If they have a front desk that's in charge of putting customers into their system, we do find it to be more error prone. Why? Because most shops don't consider that their main job. They're busy giving good customer service. They don't consider data entry one of their key skills. And reduce time on phone and no-shows. How do we do that? With our booking engine, we can set it up for card on file. Card on file can be mandatory or optional. We find that does reduce no-show rates for appointments. In the event they do get a no-show, they can do just that, enforce a cancellation policy. So they're still getting some revenue for that time slot that is now open without card on file not producing any revenue. Eliminate Excel and save time preparing payroll. Ours will do commission reporting. It knows every artist, stylist, barber that interacted with a customer, what services they had. We'll also do separate service commissions versus retail commissions. So, and it will give them just that, the gross payout. It also brings tips into that as well. It knows what tips were left for that employee. And assess up to the second information. That's through the owner mobile app. So that owner through the mobile app is seeing up to the minute what's happening with revenue. Again, which employees are clocked in, revenue per employee. They're even seeing through the mobile app customer wait times. So it knows this customer's checked in. They've been waiting to go to the chair for 7 minutes. This customer's in the chair. They've been in the chair for 23 minutes. So all of that the owner can see right from their phone. And reduce pilferage. with the customers creating their own record, with the customers doing self-checkout and leaving their own tip, there's really no way to fool the system. So we've had owners come to us and say, I'm not sure all of my team is 100% forthright on revenue coming in, on what's being left as tip. Ours, there's no getting around it because our screens are customer facing. It's not the front desk or an employee saying what was paid, what was rendered. It's the customer saying what was paid, what was rendered. Key differentiators and how we try and tip the scale there. Fast and friendly customer support. People might say, customer support, why does that matter? It doesn't matter until it matters. Once you need support, it's nice to have them there. I don't know what it is about the point of sale and booking for salon space, but our competitors have what we hear as horrific support. So we try and differentiate there and not be that. We think it's just the right thing to do, to have outstanding support. But for some reason, our competitors, we hear 1.5 hour hold times, things of that nature. We don't do that. Super simple interface. Every feature we design, while I mentioned we try and keep it as robust as full service of anything they would use, we always have simplicity at the core of what we're trying to accomplish in how it renders, how the user will interact with it. Custom designed hardware. We are a software and hardware solution, so those check-in tablets with their subscription, we provide that. We program it, we ship it to them. If they want that cashier facing and work from a tablet versus computer, we ship a cashier facing tablet to them, pre-programmed, custom branded. We are merchant agnostic. That's why we can work with all you great people. So we can plug your merchant services into us, and I'll get into the card not present as well in a moment. No annual contracts. If a customer ever isn't thrilled with us, we're cancelable at any time, and we do that on purpose. It does keep us always having a very active roadmap of what we're building to based on our customer feedback. And modern technology stack. So we are a relatively young software company coming up on 6 years. The benefit there is it's a new code base. And the code base we were on, we weren't happy with the efficiencies. There was a better code base. So guess what? We're also switching right now to even the most modern code base available. So what that just simply means speed, ease of use. Fast development cycles. We do a release about every 2 weeks. And very, very active. We have a release going out tonight. Data ownership. Again, it might sound like you got a new transmission in your car. You have to have it, but it's not much of a benefit to speak to. In our business model, the customer owns the data. Your business owner owns their customer data. That might sound like a given, but again, we have a lot of competitors. That's not the case. They've created their own marketplace. And when a customer books through their software, they'll then remarket to that customer. Even though they booked for ABC Salon, they'll start getting marketing offers for different businesses because the software owns the customer in that model. In our model, again, your owner owns their customer data. Frictionless and on-page booking. In those models where the software provider owns the customer data, that customer has to create a username, a password, just to book an appointment. In ours, they don't have to have a username, password, no accounts. They're just going to their booking links, saying what services they wish to have, any service provider preference, and time and date. Another key in how our booking renders on screen is it renders within their existing website. The reason that's important, we don't launch a new tab, launch a new page. When that happens, Google sees it from an SEO standpoint. Google thinks that business owner has lost the customer because they've navigated away from their site. Within our booking engine, because they're always on that site and everything happens in screen, there's an SEO benefit as far as how Google reads time on page. And the full collection of features. So client notes within any profile, they can put as detailed notes as they want. We can come up with custom note categories for them. Oh, we do have some pet grooming facilities that use our booking engine and point of sale. So it's still in that personal services, but for pets. And in that category, the notes aren't hair, cut notes. It's primarily breed, dog name, things like that. So notes are completely customizable. Staff scheduler, Membership, if they have recurring, maybe they have pay this amount per month and you can get 3 of these services. That's supported through our software. We already mentioned loyalties built in. All the internal apps are included. So the employee apps, the owner app, referral tracking, self-check-in. So, and you'll get this. I don't need to read them all off to you. I do want to highlight multilingual. We do Vietnamese. We do Spanish. We have an install base in Mexico City. The one thing, we get a lot of requests saying, can we demo in Spanish? And while we can make the system be in Spanish, we ask if it's a demo where interpretation is needed, we don't have a good resource for that. So if you have an agent, a friend of that owner that can interpret, that would be needed. And getting into what our subscriptions look like. So we do what I call station-based pricing on our subscriptions. As I mentioned, no contracts. They authorize for us to set their account up and collect their data, but there's no term to that. And if they're small shop, they say, you know what, I'll just do everything from a cashier-facing station, either tablet or desktop. 500 texts are included with the subscription. The software can handle any text volume, but we integrate with a best-in-class third-party provider. There is a volume impact on us, so that unfortunately is passed through, but 500 included in a basic. Basic's $99 per month, one-time setup of $299. The equipment stack we now connect through for the payment. It's either the PAX A920 or that Aries 8. How do we differentiate between the two? When they want customer-facing touchscreen, smart checkout, that's when it's the Aries 8. When it's a simple take payment device needed, that's the PAX A920. Our app can be installed on either of those. One note, we're finding with NAB, we need that device to ship released, so not have pay anywhere on it. Right now, we're actually providing the terminals directly when that's needed. All we need from you guys is a VAR sheet. And we can program to that account, have our app running on that PAX device. So right now we're installing on 2 different PAX devices. We are migrating out of, we used to use the S300. We used to use Deja Vu. We're migrating out of all of those, going to just these 2. They're good, solid machines. Again, our app can be installed on them and it runs beautifully. Our goal, I said, we want things to be as simple as possible for the user. We also want to minimize anything that triggers a support call. We want it just to seem flawless as far as the customer's view of how we work. And we're determining our hardware needs based on trying to be flawless also. We found that we were getting more support calls on Deja Vu, more support calls in the S300s. It was just a reality of how those connect. So that's why we've migrated to just 2 solutions, the A920 and the Aries 8. If they say, you know what, I love the self-check-in where the customer is creating my database for me. And of course, you're going to have the cashier-facing station. That's the constant on any plan. That goes to what we call the duo, the middle. That's $139 per month, $398 setup. That's also, again, the PAX A920. They don't need that customer-facing smart checkout. Or they don't want, let me put it, it's all up to the customer. But if they don't want that customer-facing smart checkout. What we call the Pro plan, it's basically a 3-station or more. Those 3 stations are the customer check-in, cashier, just like the Duo, and then the Aries 8, that customer-facing for checkout. We keep our stations locked down, very simple in what their business purpose is. So the check-in, it doesn't toggle, it's not on a swivel, it's just for customers checking in, saying they're there for their appointment or there's a spontaneous walk-in. Cashier-facing, just to run customer management, book appointments, and check customers out. And the checkout device, only for taking that device. So again, assigning how they're paying, cash or card, tip, and rating their service. So that's the equipment stack and what that looks like. We also confirm with them if they need any what we call additional equipment. That's the cash drawer, receipt printer, scanner. Our inventory is so easy to add to carts, to manage inventory. We find most businesses really don't need a scanner. We are setting up a chain now that has up to 1,000 products per location, so they will need a scanner. That would be a lot to search through, even though we have a quick search at the top of the inventory area. But most don't have that much product. Most, I find, have 30 to 50 items at most when we're talking about personal services and their shampoos and other products that go along with that. So touch simple, but scanner is an option there. And getting started. We do an e-sign document. We put that together after we've demoed the client. Our demos on average run about 45 minutes. If they ask a lot of questions and really want to dig deep, that can go to an hour, but generally 45. We do them live. We haven't put a lot of videos out there, and I get a lot of requests. Can I just go to YouTube or go to some video channel? We haven't done a lot of investment there for one primary reason. Remember, I mentioned our release cycles are very rapid, about every 2 weeks, and we continue growing the product so dramatically that we just don't want to put a lot of investment into videos just to have them be obsolete on the next release. So our demos are live. I have a Calendly link, which the Payments Hub team has. And anyone's really welcome to it, but they love to be in the loop and help coordinate that. And it hits my calendar directly, and again, live demos. After the demo, what we do, we send them follow-up information, the PowerPoint we review at the beginning of the call, all of our direct contact, and clarify their plan, what will work best for them, whether it's that basic, Duo, or Pro. Once we have that and any additional equipment needed, we do an e-sign document to them. Our onboarding, once they do that e-sign document, is about 2 weeks is what's asked. We have onboarded much faster. We've done a 3-day setup, we've done a 5-day setup, and that does happen with regular frequency, but we ask for 2 weeks. It's all based on their business need. We have a team that sets up the back end of the account, so their services menu, prices, staff information. As long as they're providing their staff and the cell number of that staff number, we can grant them app access to download in the iOS or Android App Store. And also any files they can provide. So a lot of customers ask, will I lose my existing customer database? If I'm on an existing system I'm not happy with, I want to come over, can I retain my customer information? The answer is yes. As long as they can generate a CSV or Excel file, we import that customer data into their new account. We do remote training. So we used to install in person, so we were all running around like crazy. But now the equipment arrives, we go over a step-by-step with them on how to connect, and then once they're fully connected, then we do a workflow training review with them. And our training, they can consider it ongoing. They can call anytime and say, hey, I either need to re-review something, or hey, I have a new team member who needs to train. We also, from a training standpoint, have put together online modules. There are some chains that we've rolled out and some brand new chains coming into the US that we've gotten verbals from as far as launching us. And when it's a chain instance like that, 70, 100, this one thinks they'll have 1,000 in 2 years, locations, then we do a video platform for them where each employee is getting certified through the video dashboard. And those aren't really demo type sessions. Those are very tactical. This is how a customer gets entered into your system. This is how you process payment, how you book an appointment. What I just mentioned, we're thrilled to see, because we love the individual owner. We also love the multi-location. And more we're getting involved in multi-location. Right here in Texas, if you're local, anyone ever hear of Knockouts barbershops? Yes, they just completed their implementation across 60 locations, mainly in Texas, but they go into the Midwest as well. I think they have one in Arizona, but just completed their implementation. They also run their app, Is Us, in the App Store. So if you go to your App Store and download Knockouts Barbershops app, that's something we created and designed for them. That is the exact look, feel that any customer can have. So ongoing training. ongoing point-of-sale support. Our goal is to minimize their need for support, but when they need it, our support is there for them. A couple weeks ago, Knockouts had an annual conference we attended, and there were people coming up to us saying, we love this support person. We love that support person. So when they do call, we always want to make it a great interaction. And it was interesting. We'd love to hear them, just talk about the software, but they talked about support and how much they love that as much as they talked about how much they love the software. So I may have gone a little fast. Let me see how we're doing here. 142. Okay. Any questions? All right, boy. Yes.
Do you have people going to the hairstylist shows representing your software?
Well, as an agent, we'll set up shows periodically, not a lot. And even when I was in Dallas 3 weeks ago, it was BarberCon, was the show in Austin. We didn't attend only because with BarberCon, it's primarily the individual barbers. So it's not, from what we were told, unless we got the wrong read on it, but it's not the business owner. When there's shows that bring in the business owners themselves, yes, we will display and exhibit at those shows. But we've got such a great network. You guys have done such a great job giving inbound activity. Even our ability and the focus we put on shows, it's not one of our key channels. I'll just put it that way. But because just word of mouth, just the network of agents, you guys, the feet on the street, give us so much activity coming in that keeps our pipe pretty busy. Yes.
How do you handle, like for Vietnamese salons, they want their payouts, like some cash, some check?
Well, yeah, we give up that payout calculator. That is downloads as a CSV or Excel if they don't want to just look at it on screen. They can run and divide it, slice it however they want from there. And we can, if it's consistent percentages, we also do custom reports. So we can drive a custom report for them. Each account gets up to 5 custom reports. We have a report builder who does just that. In their dashboard, which is their reporting and back-end management, that's where they would see that custom payout report. So
Let me trade you that so I can walk with the room. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Jenna, back here.
You've mentioned that 2 options to pay. Does that mean you have the cash discount on it ready now, or is that coming very soon?
yeah, we have cash discount now. It's not what Keith and the group, it's not the model we want to get to. So it's not matching the Edge dual price. Our cash discount model now is an add-on. So the customer on that smart checkout device, when cash discount's in place, they're saying whenever they select card, they say on screen, pay by cash and save, whatever it is, 3.75%. Are you sure you wish to pay with card? They say yes. So that's our version today of cash discount. I did get a date. Keith said, when do you anticipate the dual price?
Been pushed for a while.
The true, yeah. We've been.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been pushing for this, but it is end of first quarter. So yeah.
So that basically means that we can't put our Edge program on Growthzilla, basically for us. That's what that means. Okay, just. Correct.
Yeah, I mean.
As of today, yes, as of today.
Yes, correct. First quarter, end of first quarter, yeah. Unfortunately, toward the end, but that's the timing my dev has given me. Sure.
Okay. Anything online, Mark? Okay. Cool. Anybody have any other questions for Don Growthzilla? I'll say a couple things too before I get on here with Sean, because we got a couple minutes. So I will say this. Let's go ahead and click to the takeaways real quick, and Don, please jump in on this too.
Okay.
So I always put in a few takeaways for you guys to stand here next to me. So with the A920, we went through that product suite, and you guys, carrying that A920 device, even if you're showing it on Pay Anywhere, but then the opportunity really in an appointment-based business is Growthzilla. You still have a consistent story, right? You still have, hey, here's the piece that we run part of the Growthzilla platform on. So you're kind of building on that same technology and unifying your story. some of them like really master the benefits of Growthzilla. In my opinion, this is a space, because it's such a solid solution, even if it can't run Edge yet, it's such an incredibly solid solution to go out there and win business. Everybody wants, if you were to look at verticals, and you look at, okay, I have, let's go, appointment-based, hospitality, retail, e-commerce, whatever it is, B2B, and you have different verticals to go after. One of the things that where the lowest hanging fruit, or where you want to invest your time, are the ones where you have the greatest opportunity to bring the most value. Okay? We all know in hospitality, you're up against the Toasts, some of these other solutions that are doing really, really well, right? Everybody gets frustrated over that. You don't have that type of competition in appointment-based businesses. You're literally walking in there being the, quote, Toast, right? You're walking in with some of the best stuff you can possibly sell. So that's why I put on a third one. Like I said, I'll let you Don jump in here if you need to. Build what I call Dream 50. And I've mentioned this before. Look in your general area. If you have, whether it's veterinary places, pet places, anything that's appointment-based, salons, spas, barbershops, whatever, right? And then you look at size and how many seats, and you build your Dream 50. If I was going to go out and target 50 merchants that could use Growthzilla, that becomes a strategy, and that's the first step on it. I would sell and go after 50 of those and close a much higher percentage with Growthzilla than if I were to try to go after 50 restaurants and try to sell it, right? You might get 1 or 2. You can get 10, 15, 20 in appointment base, because most of them are using a dumb terminal and then some kind of software to do the appointment side of it. You don't get the experience of the check-in. They don't get the customer engagement. You have more value to bring, and you don't even have to get bogged down in the price conversation.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. So great points. And when you're calling the businesses, if they're still using a paper book, that should be definitely jump on that location, because we can make that all electronic, again, seeing from the apps, not just the point of sale, but complete mobile access to their booking engine and upcoming appointments. Also, in our space, the founder and I say, our competitors, in a way, make it easy for us, because there's a lot of frustration out there. And we don't do a lot of marketing to our downfall. We should market more, but we're fairly quiet as far as a name out there. A lot of people say, I'm glad my agent brought you guys to me, because I hated my current solution. It crashed all the time, it was buggy, or it was just hard to use. A small chain in the Northeast of barbershops came over to us, and they said we eliminated their current solution. They said it took about 11 to 13 clicks was their estimate to get to what they get to in 3 clicks in us. So again, streamlined, easy to use system. And a user base, competitors out there that make it easy for you to find a niche and open a door there. And if you can identify a pain point with our current solution, our closing ratios are extremely strong. I'd venture to say well over 90%. Strong closing rate, any customer would bring us, but especially if you can identify a pain point in their, in their current processes.
And honestly, one of the easiest ones, and I'll reiterate because I know you hit on it, that I personally love is, with your current system, can you currently send text messages, checking in on them, or sending messages of love and appreciation? If the answer to that is no, don't you want to? Don't you want to be able to tell your customers that were in here last week, we really enjoyed seeing you, can't wait for your next time? Right? The idea of being able to drive revenue through the point of sale system, that's the lowest that's the easiest, quote, pain point and perk, both to pull out that they may not even know that they have. By simply asking them a question, can you currently engage? So even if they're using Square with their appointment-based aspects and everything else, great. Okay, I see Square, but I'm not going to point it out. I'm just curious, with your current system, if I have an appointment, can you currently send me a text message that says thank you for coming in, like 2 weeks later at the whim? Can you send me a text message when it comes up on 4 weeks from when I got my nails done and you haven't seen me yet? And it automatically sends that out saying, hey, we know it's been 4 weeks. Is it time to get back in here and get your nails done? Like the ability for a system to automatically drive revenue, again, that's that value sell. That's that bringing that game on it.
And specific to Square, since that name came up, ours will go much deeper, has a lot more full functionality than Square. Simple things that you may not think of. But If a father-son come in, Square, it's difficult to merge records. If say a customer comes in and has services done in that location by 2 different service providers, in Square, that has to be 2 separate records. There's no way to indicate that Bill did the haircut and Joe did the beard trim, just as an example. In ours, you assign at the service line within the single customer record. That's not the case in Square. Again, they have to check the customer out on one service, check them back in for the other service, check them out on the other service. So there's some disconnects in Square that we solve for.
Perfect. I think Mark's got an online question.
Yeah, quick question asking who your primary competitors are.
Oh yeah, you'll hear out there MindBody, Booker, which used to be separate, is now part of MindBody, Millennium, Vagaro, and Square. So we still hear Square a lot out there. But out of all of those, Vagaro does a decent job. They still have some pain points. We still have customers coming over to us from Vagaro saying, hey, they did a release, it crashed on me for a number of hours, we couldn't do anything. So there are some pain points there. Overall, though, they're the better competitor.
And I will say this, as somebody who uses Vagaro as a consumer side, the lady who does my son's hair, she's got a little truck that he can sit in, literally take a Power Wheels truck and turn it into a seat, right? She uses Vagaro. I hate trying to set an appointment with her through Vagaro. It's just not user friendly.
Yeah, that's the username and password issue.
Yes.
If you're on a new device, you forget your username and password, it's all pain. Again, they don't need one with us. And in Vagaro, they won't recognize this if they say, oh, the software works, I can check customers out, it does what I need to do. They may not realize Vagaro owns the customer. They don't own their customer data. That's one of the companies that was retargeting. Because they have that customer creating account with them, the software provider, they were retargeting with other businesses. So that might be an unknown pain point for that business owner, that they don't realize that's happening, but it is happening. Not medical yet. Medical, there's this thing called HIPAA certification for privacy and information for health records. We're not HIPAA certified. So that will be a future roadmap, but further out than dual price.
So let me ask you on that. Does that possibly raise a question with medical spas that aren't?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
Growthzilla may not be the best fit for a medical spa.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it's confidential health-related records that are being stored in the software, they should have a HIPAA certified solution. I still see them. I come across them using non-HIPAA other solutions, but they really should be on a HIPAA certified solution.
Can they parse that out? Can they use Growthzilla for the check-in experience and some of that stuff without
They
holding
actually
all
can.
the records?
Yes,
Okay.
they can. So
So if they have a HIPAA software on their computer, but they have no way for
Right.
customers to be able to create an appointment, see the scheduling, then check in when they walk in and do the payments, you can technically use Growthzilla on a hybrid and keep the medical information separated out from it.
Exactly. And quick, just to talk a little more about roadmaps. One release that's coming up, we're about 2 weeks out for it, as just some enhancements we have a lot of locations coming to us that aren't personal services, as in that the person says, I want Sue to cut my hair. Instead of booking an artist or a barber, they're booking a room, like a salt room, or a spa, or a bath. We're having a release coming up that takes it and makes it very easy to convert our booking engine to just a resource. So they may have 2 employees working the front desk. They'll never get selected in the booking process. They're booking room B, which has this service associated to it, this resource. So resource booking is within the next month. We'll have a full resource booking instead of a personal services booking.
MindBody Online and Booker are always popping up in my face. What would you say the pain points using those to leverage getting Growthzilla in the door?
Yeah, common pain point we hear from there is complexity. Complexity, poor customer service. I mentioned some long wait times earlier. I'll just say that was with MindBody. I was at a location when they were coming up on their second hour, trying to get support to pick up. So, firsthand experience, I guess I can name them by name. But support and complexity are 2 of the common pain points. You may discover others, but those are 2 very common.
Cool. All right, Don, thank you very much for
Thank you.
this. Let's give it up for
having
Don.
us.
Appreciate
Lots
it.
of-
All right, up next we have Bigcommerce here in just like 4 minutes. So I'll have Maggie come on up. Edward, are you jumping in the action too? Or are you here as moral support?
I can just hang out in the back.
All right, how many of you guys have been on any of the Bigcommerce trainings we've done over the last year? All right, so before we get going, while they're kind of coming up here and getting set up, I have had a blast working with the Bigcommerce team. Some of you guys met Grace at the beginning. She's no longer with Bigcommerce, but Maggie has been a huge help. Edward stepped in now. I mean, this company is a lot of fun to work with. And I said even back at the beginning of the trainings, when we first brought Bigcommerce into the ecosystem before we had a direct integration, I dumped my Squarespace site that I sell my t-shirts on, and I put in Bigcommerce because I actually wanted to experience it from the merchant level, right? How easy is it to build? Because I'm not a tech guy. So can I sit there and put my products on there? Can I build something that looks halfway decent? How does it function? I worked with the Bigcommerce team behind the scenes. Okay, I have a question. I can't get the GoDaddy thing to port over properly, and they helped me and stuff. So they've just been an awesome company, and I just wanted to share that before I kind of turn this over to you.
Thanks.
So again, you got to hold this so that way people virtually.
Got it.
This is your hot box, so to say. So the camera's got you. Are you going to be talking at all?
At the end, yes.
At the end? So you can either share the mic or I can give you this.
I can just hold this.
Is this what Beyonce feels like? This is awesome.
Thanks for miking me up.
All right, and on that note, we'll go ahead and, well, let's see. I don't think anybody virtually is going to care. Go ahead and get started whenever you want.
Okay.
Here's the clicker.
Okay.
Big button. That
Big
goes
button.
forward, little one goes backwards if you need it.
Awesome. Cool. Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Has it been a long day so far? No? All right. Well, I hope I don't make it any longer for you. But I'm Maggie Stevens. I manage our partner enablement program for all of our technology partners at Bigcommerce. Our tech partner ecosystem is really vast. It spans not only payments and POS, but shipping, tax, accounting, marketing technology, back office partners like ERP systems, product information management, order management, et cetera, et cetera. We've got about 600 partners within our ecosystem, and I work with all of them to make sure they're trained on Bigcommerce. Edward?
And I'm Edward Mills. I'm the senior partner manager on our payments team. I've been working really closely with Ryan and with Keith on the commercial side of the partnership, and working with a lot of representatives at North American Bank Card to help close deals and win processing online for our partners. So very nice to meet you all.
Awesome. So if you haven't heard of Bigcommerce, we are an e-commerce platform. Is everyone familiar with the concept of e-commerce? Buying and selling online. Yes. And we know that the last year and a half, gosh, we're coming up on almost 2 years of the pandemic, has changed the way that we do shopping. We're shopping online a lot more, and it's really ushering in a new era of e-commerce, and that's what Bigcommerce is here for. Our slogan is e-commerce for a new era, and that's what we really want to usher in. So when thinking about talking to your merchants who potentially want to sell online, the first question you want to ask them is, are you ready to expand your customer base? Selling online and opening up an e-commerce business is a really good way to find new shoppers, get more business, and to just all around be able to sell more. And if you're talking with them and they're not selling online, if you take a look at these stats, they're pretty compelling. If they're not selling online, they're missing more than half of the addressable market. Everyone is shopping online now. Last year, retail e-commerce went up 32%. It's just going to continue to grow. It's going to be a $24 billion industry by 2024. So getting online is really crucial for any of your merchants who aren't already selling online. And if they are selling online and they're on another platform, they should really talk to Bigcommerce. I'll give you guys some pointers on, why we're the best out there. But really just make sure if they're not selling online, they're thinking about it. So enter Bigcommerce. So what is Bigcommerce? So we are a flexible, open SaaS e-commerce platform, and we want to help merchants sell more no matter what stage of growth they're at. So we work with merchants that have never sold online before. They're coming online for the first time. We also have merchants that are doing north of $50 million in online sales. No matter what, we can help them. We have over 60,000 merchants live and transacting on Bigcommerce. They have really awesome, innovative stores. We have some of the logos here. You guys can go check them out. The stores span across multiple segments. Of course, we think a lot about e-commerce being B2C space, but B2B businesses are also coming online as well, especially in 2020 when the world kind of shut down. A lot of B2B companies were like, crap, we need a way to keep selling. So they're coming online. And we also work with folks doing hybrid B2C, B2B as well. And then D&B stands for digitally native brands. So think of brands that were born online. Maybe they started on Instagram building a community, and then they wanted to start selling their products. So brands that were always formed online, that's what a digitally native brand is. And the great thing about Bigcommerce is that it's an all-in-one platform. It provides businesses with everything that they need to sell online, from the design, being able to go in and set up the store, make it to their branding needs, not having to code. You don't need to know how to code to use Bigcommerce. All drag and drop visual editing tools, very easy to use. We also will help merchants be able to merchandise their store. So maybe on the product page, they want to put an upsell button, or they want to bundle products together, really be able to sell more. You can do that with the Bigcommerce platform. And then, of course, checkout. That's one of the main parts of being an e-com platform. We help merchants be able to check out. And really what we're just giving merchants is the ability to not only build their store, but market their store as well, and at the end of the day, sell. So what makes us different? We really have a unique market position out there because we are giving enterprise level features out of the box. And because we're a SaaS platform, merchants will get high speed, really low cost, and a high return on investment in leveraging the Bigcommerce platform. We're really helping businesses get a competitive advantage against their competitors because of this great benefit that we're offering. Looks like we had some formatting issues. But this bottom part here really just talks about kind of what I was touching on the last slide, where we're giving a comprehensive all-in-one platform. We're helping with design to catalog management, order management, shipping, checkout, etc. I think Keith will be sending this deck out later, and the rest of that cutoff slide will be there that talks about that. So I think it's important to talk a bit about what Bigcommerce is and what it is not, because sometimes there's a lot of confusion with e-commerce. There's a lot of new channels that are popping up every week for people to sell online. So let's talk about what Bigcommerce is. So, e-com platform. A lot of people probably have heard of e-commerce platforms as being a hosted shopping cart or an online store builder. That's what Bigcommerce is. And we also are supporting B2C, B2B, and hybrid companies as well. So more importantly, I want to touch on, what Bigcommerce is not. So we are not going to be like a full service agency or website builder. We have a lot of smaller merchants that when they sign on to Bigcommerce, they say, okay, well, you go build my store and launch it. We don't do that at Bigcommerce. Most folks will either get the products in themselves and set up their shipping, tax, accounting, etc. themselves, or they'll outsource it to an agency, but we don't do that in-house at Bigcommerce. We're not a payment provider. We have a competitor that has their own proprietary payment solution. Bigcommerce doesn't have that. We're payments agnostic, choose whatever you want. And we don't have any intention to ever building any proprietary payment software at Bigcommerce. We're not just a website or a blog builder. We do have some folks that come to us saying, I just want to build a website. I'm not selling anything. Not a good fit for Bigcommerce. You really need to be selling some sort of physical good. And while I'm on that topic, we're not a good fit for service-based businesses either. So I have a buddy who last year during the pandemic decided he was going to be like a master pergola and deck builder, and asked me if he could sell that service on Bigcommerce because he knew I worked there. I was like, no, buddy, you got to be selling a physical good or product. So no services on Bigcommerce, just not a good fit for that. And lastly, we're not an online marketplace. We're not like an Amazon or an Etsy where you could like have hundreds of people out there, distributors, like uploading products onto a Bigcommerce store and selling. We don't really dabble in that at Bigcommerce, but we do have native connections to marketplaces. So if you want to push your products from Bigcommerce to Amazon or to eBay or Wish or Walmart Marketplace, you can do that natively within Bigcommerce. So we can help businesses get on other marketplaces, but we are not ourselves a marketplace. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes.
So no software download, selling software.
Nope. Cool. Awesome. All right, so now that you guys have some background info on Bigcommerce, who we are, what we do, I want to give you guys some information on some low-hanging fruit that you could go after, today or tomorrow if you guys are talking to merchants that are interested in e-com. So first would be new merchants that you guys are signing up. So you can really provide a lot of value to your new merchants by telling them that they can expand their business online. That's a really valuable tool for them. We know that e-commerce is going to stay, so developing an omni-channel strategy is really important for the longevity of businesses. The second other easy win would be Shopify or Magento merchants. With Bigcommerce, we have more features that we offer out of the box. More features are offered than with a Shopify store. With Bigcommerce, we can save merchants between $3,000 to $20,000 per year because we have more features offered that would to get feature parity on Shopify, a merchant would have to add on applications or other costly add-ons that just add into that total cost of ownership. So we'll save Shopify merchants money there, and then we can be up to 75% less costly than Magento. Magento does have a SaaS offering now, but their open source platform can be very expensive. A merchant would have to pay for hosting, so they'd need to get a hosting provider. Security doesn't come with it. They'd also have to pay extra for support, so we can save them a lot of money if they're on Magento. And lastly, home-built sites. Our sales team has weirdly been coming up with a lot of prospects that are using home-built sites. It's really popular right now, and it's a really easy win because those home-built sites are lacking a lot of e-commerce functionality that's new today. It's harder for merchants to do true omni-channel on home-built sites, and you can really offer them a great attention getter and cost and time savings by talking to them about Bigcommerce. Any questions here? Yes.
Home sites mean like WordPress sites, things like that?
So something that they have built themselves, a homegrown site, they have built this technology themselves. They went out and hired a developer. They're not leveraging like a Bigcommerce or a Shopify or a Magento. Any other questions? Cool. Okay, so I'm going to cover pricing real quick. So we effectively have 4 plans at Bigcommerce. We would call these ones that you see the pricing here, those 3 plans, Bigcommerce Essentials. Those are for folks doing less than $1 million in online sales. And then Bigcommerce Enterprise would be for folks doing over $1 million in online sales. So talking about the Standard Plus and Pro plans, those are all amazing plans. They come with the enterprise level features out of the box. We really just recommend standard for folks that are just getting started out. Maybe they've never sold before, or they're coming from another platform where they didn't have a lot of sales. That's a good starter plan. That they'll get pretty much everything that they need to get up and running. The Plus plan is really good for businesses that have maybe been around for a little bit. They're starting to experience some growth. They want to start leveraging some more marketing tools. They want to increase their conversion. That's a good plan for those types of businesses. And then the Pro plan, I'd really recommend Pro plan for any B2B merchant, especially it comes with features that are really important for B2B businesses. But we really talk to Pro stores for folks that are doing like above $150,000 in online sales, more for higher growth merchants that are doing less than $1 million in online sales. And then enterprise plan is custom pricing, generally starts out around $13.50 a month. And the great thing about our enterprise plan is it comes with some great entitlements, like you get an implementation project manager to help onboard you onto Bigcommerce. And then once the site is launched, you get then transferred to a customer success manager that will work with the merchant for the whole time that they're on the Bigcommerce platform. They will handle any escalations if needed, technical support, help them like get to the right technical support. They do like QBRs with them, really just do health checks with the merchant. Any questions on pricing or the plans? Yeah. PBR? QBR.
So
quarterly business review. Yes, sorry.
They might get a PBR with them later.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's unknown.
I'll take that. Awesome. And then Edward's going to talk.
Yeah.
Do you want to come over here?
Sure. So I'll
get
come
on
to
the
spot
X marks
here.
the spot.
I got a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you're working on opportunity, whether that's existing or prospective, we recently launched our integration with North American Bank Card and EPX. And so, you know, if you would like some assistance in the opportunity, or you're trying to win some business, they have some e-commerce needs, you don't really want to delve into that, you're focused on the payments, you can use our lead submission or referring form here to get a sales member from our team to join you in the conversations, walk them through the e-commerce aspects of the deal, and then help with the setup and initial contracting with the merchant to get them up and running online. So this is something we're already doing with North American Bank Card. It's been very successful so far in helping win closing some deals. And so, please leverage this that you see fit. There's a link within the document that we'll send out afterwards that can be used to reach this page. And in the form itself, there's some pretty key pieces of information that we need to make sure we get the right rep from our side to reach out to you and coordinate on the opportunity. They're listed here, but ideally it's their annual online revenue. So are they already selling? What's their online value right now? Where are they located? That helps us regionally, identify the right person to assist. Any sort of contact information. You can even put your own information if you don't want them to reach out to the merchant right away, but rather call you. And then just title and other details. And at the very bottom, there's a long form notes section. This section's really helpful if there's any pain points that the merchant has expressed to you, any details around the merchant, hey, this is prospective to me, let's coordinate together, here's what I'm going after, etc. That just gives us the details that we need to make sure the conversation starts off on the right foot. So this is a great way to get an extra hand in closing a deal, or getting a merchant online to use y'all's payment gateway and just win more opportunities together. Any questions on the deal registration aspect?
I have a question about the pricing. It says, are all plans compatible with POS integration?
Yes. Cool. Okay.
Switch back.
One more slide for y'all. 3 key takeaways from today's presentation. If there's anything I want y'all to remember, it's these 3 things. First, we are designed for small to large enterprise businesses. We intentionally designed our platform to support all types of businesses. So don't ever think that a merchant is too large or too small. We can work with them. Second, we are focused on being number one in e-commerce. We do not want to, like I said, go out and build any proprietary technologies at Bigcommerce. We are a partner-led company. We want to go out and find the best-of-breed partners to partner with, and we are payments agnostic as well. So we're going to focus on being number one in e-commerce. We're going to let y'all focus on the best thing that you do. We'll partner together and go out and win business together. Third, in comparison to our competitors, we have more features built into our platform. We have stronger search engine optimization so merchants can get that great organic online traffic to their site. And we have no transaction fees. So that those prices that you saw for our pricing, that's all they pay for per month. There's no transaction fees or hidden fees associated. That's all they're paying to Bigcommerce. Any questions on the takeaways? Nope, I think that was my last one. Yes.
Oh, for sure.
So let me, I'm going to jump in and add a little bit, and then we'll take a break before Sean joins us. We do have a question online. So here, Maggie, let me, so we've got to make sure people are grabbing these. So let me take this mic over. I'll be right back with my lapel one.
One more question.
Yep.
Can merchants utilize Edge program while using Bigcommerce for online sales?
Cash discount. I'll answer that one. Okay. So I get that all the time, and I'm actually glad somebody asked it here. Okay. So we're going to go through it in that session later today. We're going to break through. We're going to go through surcharging. We're going to talk about cash discount, the competition way, cash discount in the true cash discount model, and then Edge. But for the sake of the time, because we have the time, I will readdress it. We also have some standalone sessions in your partner portal that I created around card not present scenarios and Edge, which e-commerce goes into. Okay, you can't do any form of cash discount, convenience fee, Edge, or anything else in an e-commerce setting, regardless of platform, unless you have ACH as a payment option. And think about it from a customer experience. Yesterday, I went to unpack my stuff and I realized I didn't have any jeans with me. So I had to go find jeans. Now imagine if I'm going online to buy jeans, even using a Bigcommerce platform for somebody local, and I find jeans, I buy it, and I mark it pickup. Now all I have to do is go pick them up, okay? But let's say I needed them shipped here. I find jeans and they're $50. I go to checkout and all of a sudden it's $52. Why is it $52? Because I added a fee of some sort, and online it has to be a convenience fee. Okay, well, why am I paying an extra 4%? Because you're paying with a credit card. Great, give me another option to pay without a credit card. There is none. Good experience or bad experience? Why didn't you just make the jeans $52? Okay, you have to have, unless you're a government entity, you have to have another form of payment available. Now, you could theoretically build a platform in e-commerce that has a $50 pair of jeans if I pay with ACH and a $52 pair of jeans if I pay with credit card. Now I'm giving the two options the same way I'm giving a cash or a credit in person. Bigcommerce isn't built, and most platforms are not built to support two different ways of checking out, changing the pricing model. So I always want to make sure I try to address that question very, very clearly. Everybody wants to do, hey, we want to help merchants offset their fees in an e-commerce space. Trust me, get online, Google convenience fee guidelines. It is a pain in the butt to be executed. Literally every single product on every single individual page needs to have a disclaimer, and you have to have the opportunity for cart abandonment. And you have to have ACH built in. There's a reason why most people don't do it, because it's difficult and a bad online experience when you're dealing with a click away from looking at a competitor that doesn't do it. Right? Merchants just need to build it into their pricing online, just like they, if they really want to recoup it. There's no clean way of doing e-commerce. Now, what I will say on top of that is through NMI and some other stuff, if it's simply an invoice, I have a $1,000 invoice to pay, and I go to a website and they give me the option of paying with credit or ACH, and they have a convenience fee if I pay with credit, and there's no convenience fee with ACH, that's a different story. But that is not e-commerce the way that Bigcommerce exists today. Okay? Bigcommerce doesn't have just a web portal for people to pay bills. Bigcommerce supports, I want to sell a pair of jeans. How do I sell it and have a customer experience so they buy that, either have it shipped to them or have it picked up at the store? I hope that helps everybody here and online understand why edge and cash discount in an e-commerce space just does not work. I mean, when I built my t-shirt site on Bigcommerce, I went the other direction. You go to enjoylifetees.com. This is not an advertisement. It's on Bigcommerce. It's not great because, again, I did it myself. I hardly have any time to do it. But you go there and a t-shirt's $25. That includes everything, shipping and everything. Now, depending on where you're at, the shipping could be $5 up to $12 for me to ship a shirt. I don't care, right? Because people, when they buy online, they want easy, they want simple, they want clean and fast. What you don't want to do when you're shopping and building an e-commerce customer is create opportunities for cart abandonment. The more stuff you have in place that makes the checkout process confusing, the more opportunities you have for cart abandonment.
That's right. Reduce the friction.
We'll share this.
Frictionless purchasing. Awesome. Any other questions? Yes.
Want to get the mic to you. We gotta wait for the mic so they can be heard.
If a merchant is already processing with another platform like WooCommerce or Shopify, is the transition, how simple is it? What is the process?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we have a couple of different avenues that a merchant could go down to do that transition, especially if they're coming from a WooCommerce. I would assume that they probably have less than 10,000 SKUs on their store. We have a really great option for merchants that have less than 10,000 SKUs. We have a free app that they could download that's a catalog transfer app. They would it's a CSV import export. They take down all the product information from the WooCommerce store and then upload it into Bigcommerce. Again, that's free. And then we also have a data migration services team in-house. It is a paid service, but they'll pour over product data, customer information, payment tokens, order history, etc. And that process is really easy, can take, depending on how much data is in the store, like 4 to 8 weeks to do that migration.
Thank you.
So one of the things I encourage you guys when you're out there selling e-commerce is be straight up with merchants, right? I always tell merchants, don't do e-commerce unless you're willing to give it the time and dedication you would as if you're opening up a second brick and mortar location, okay? Because what most people do that fire up an e-commerce store is they think, oh, if I simply put it out there, I'm going to sell a bunch of stuff. Well, that's not the case, right? You know, there's SEO that goes into it. There's marketing it through all your channels. There's making sure every single customer goes in, does the appearance. Am I keeping inventory on there that's fresh and vibrant? You know what I mean? Like, what is that experience like? How am I driving attention to the store? Now, when you have a point of sale and everything else that does the inventory management, that makes it a lot easier, like a Vend with Bigcommerce and such, right? So that way you're not duplicating work. But I tell people, if I'm planning on putting an e-commerce site together and then not doing anything else, it would be like me making this amazing retail store, putting it in the industrial park sector of Fort Worth, and then on top of that, I'll put it on the back of another building and not put a sign out front. You could walk in and be like, holy crap, this is the most amazing store I've ever been into. But location's everything, right? Digitally, you can have a location, but people need to have the time and be willing to put the time and energy to man their online store and treat it with the respect that they would another brick and mortar location, or they're just going to end up putting in this investment of time and money, not get the results that they want. They've got to make sure that they understand what they're getting into. Anything else?
Does that data transfer include images?
It'll do product images.
Yeah, so the question was on the data transfer, and to reiterate, you can engage the Bigcommerce team, and again, it's like Maggie said, it is a paid-for service, but they will help port over things. Now, what Bigcommerce doesn't do is they don't do the design, right? Bigcommerce does not have somebody that goes, hey, I'm going to build your site for you. They can use third-party people, and they have resources, right? They've got the templates that people can pick from. So let's say I already have a Shopify site, and I've got 8,000 items, let's say, right? I can go and find a template that matches the template I have for Shopify or one that I like. Then I can engage the Bigcommerce team, and they can help take all my products and data and move it into there and make it function. Awesome. But let's say I want a site that's custom built and custom looking. I don't like any of the templates I'm finding in the Bigcommerce thing. Bigcommerce has third-party designers that that the merchant can contract with and pay. They will build the site and the experience, and then BigCommerce helps port everything over. So again, it's understanding the expectations and everything with the BigCommerce partnership that will help you guys set up for success. So on that note, we've got a few minutes. We've got 15 minutes till Sean, who just walked in back there from Cash Buoy, and I do a little rapid fire. So how about we take a quick break, check email, stretch your legs, use the restroom, grab a drink. Everybody at home, we'll be back in 15 minutes. You're not going to want to miss this rapid fire, but first, give it up for BigCommerce. Thank you guys so much. All right. Hey, everybody online. We are just going to get going here in a second with a 15-minute rapid fire with Sean from Cash Buoy. And him and I are going to have a little conversation. We're just getting everybody settled back down here, and we'll finish out this. And then we've got Cash Buoy, 15 minutes. And then we've got the digital marketing piece, and then we've got Edge and all the different program available in that space, and then closing comments. So we are almost here. Keep hanging in with us. Thank you so much. I wish you could be present in the room, but unfortunately, not everybody can. But thanks for being with us in spirit and through the camera lens. All right, everybody. Hey, can we grab seats real quick so we can finish this up? So it's kind of like the box, like you know what I mean. So that's our safe zone.
You got it.
Hey, everybody. Sean and I are going to get going. Ryan, come on, Ryan. I know, right? Hey, have you met my good friend Sean? Hi, Sean. This is Sean from Cash Buoy. Say hi.
Hello.
All right, that'll get us going. So, Cash Buoy, there are several sessions in the partner portal around Cash Buoy. So, Cash Buoy was our sponsor of our show in Chicago. We did a session in May in Bonita Springs, and we had a really big and longer in-depth one last year, I think in October. But all of those are available through our partner portal. So what we're going to do is just going to do a quick little 15-minute rapid fire, because more and more merchants are needing funding, especially as they're growing out of the whole COVID thing. And Sean has been, and Cash Buoy has been our preferred partner for that opportunity. So I literally wrote some questions. That's why I'm going to be looking at my phone when I do it, so that way I'm hitting on the stuff. But, you know, I want to make sure that you guys understand what it is they do, some of the details, so you can go and win more business and make more money offering the services of Cash Buoy. So first question here, Sean. Why do payment professionals need to offer merchant cash advances?
Well, great question. Besides earning more money and monetizing that mid, if you're not offering cash to your merchants, someone else is going to, and they're going to take your merchant. A big thing that I mention on every one of these shows, 50% of our new funded deals every month, 50% of them are new mids for the agent that brought us the deal, but they're not new businesses. So that means that an agent lost an active mid because that merchant was looking for funding, wasn't approached about it until they were approached by another agent from NAB or whichever processor, and the funding, once they were approved, was contingent upon them switching over to our partner's book of business. So number one reason is you got to offer it because they're looking for it. Someone else is going to offer it, and they're going to take your business.
Okay. So how many of you guys have seen that how Square offers funding, right? Okay. Do you guys realize Toast is now offering funding as well? Okay, I know, right? But so if you look at two of the major players in the software point-of-sale world and organically offering funding in their app, there's a reason for it, okay, through their programs. And to recap what Sean said, if you have a merchant, they don't know they can get money from you, and they've got no other option to replace their stove or buy inventory on a deep discount or whatever it is they need, and they find somebody else that'll give them the money, and they go, but I need to have the merchant processing account. Immediately, merchant processing goes to the second level when you need cash to operate, right? So having and making sure your merchants know that you can provide it is the first lowest hanging fruit. All right, so I want our sales partners to understand the financial side of things. So you already kind of you said 50% of all of your new accounts, every single one that we get every month, are brand new merchant accounts into the ecosphere. That means they took them from somebody else. They were with WorldPay, Vantif, and now they're in the NAB ecosphere.
Exactly.
Okay. So how much do you guys pay out on commissions on average per month right now? Because I mean, I know your volume's been taking off and everything. So how much are you giving sales partners like the people that are online or here in the room every month to bring deals?
Well, I don't know an exact figure, but I know our commissions last month were somewhere over $150,000 for the month. We pay a 10-point commission on the funded amount, 5 points on the renewal. Our average deal size is $17,000 and change, so our average commission on a new deal is $1,700.
I mean, I've had a couple of them, right? And you want to talk about easy money and surprising money? And I've told the story of my buddy Jake, and he had the opportunity to buy inventory deeply discounted for the spring, but he needed it like right away. And it was, Keith, the guy that we used to go through went out of business during COVID. Do you still have this? Like, yes, I do, Jake. And he goes, can you hook me up? And I think that was a Wednesday afternoon. By Thursday by noon, so less than 24 hours, he'd gotten funded from Cash Buoy. From the time it took for money, paperwork signing back and forth, to him getting funded was less than 24 hours, and I got a nice chunk of change, based on a phone call and facilitating a couple emails.
And if I may say, that merchant, the use of the funds is like what I love to see this. This is a merchant that he did not take a renewal. He used the money because, as Keith stated, he was able to buy discounted inventory if he could had the purchasing power, which we, by funding him, gave him. And then he didn't take renewal. He's an extremely responsible business owner. He'll call us before his slow season kicks in here in a month or so, and he'll probably borrow money again. But it's just a perfect example of a working relationship between us and the merchant.
But if he didn't know that I offered it, one, he wouldn't have called me, so that means he would have called somebody else, which may have taken my account, and I wouldn't have gotten the commission on it, right? So this is like one of those things that's a no-brainer, just to make sure every single one of your merchants knows that you have it available. So on normal, and I know that was my story, but how long does it take from lead to funding? And obviously there's the how long does it take for the merchant to respond, but how long does that process usually take for the normal person?
Assuming the merchant responds right away and they're already on EPX or a global platform, we're funding the next day. We'll get docs out, they sign, we get the great people, the back office at NAB will add the split funding before the end of business. We get that next deposit the very next morning, and we're going to wire the funds right after that. So 48 hours is a long time.
So how many of you guys currently offer cash advance options in the room? Okay, a couple at home. You can raise your hand even though nobody will see you. So if for the people who don't, or even if people do some things they might be able to modify, right? What would be the first, like the 3 things that somebody should do to make sure I'm now offering this? Here's how I'm getting it out there in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I would call your merchants if you can. Definitely email them and just let them know that funding's available. We will even craft an email for you. Have our marketing department make a nice, like a digital email blast, send it to you, and you can use it in MailChimp or Constant Contact. You don't need to give us all your customers' info. You can if you'd like, that'd be great. But you don't have to, and we'll, at our expense, we'll create that marketing email blast for you, send it off to you.
Now what about like if you have a website, right? Don't you have some tools available? Like if I have a website and I want to put something up on the website.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what we do for every partner. We're literally going to white label a funding division for your company. So we'll create, you get an ISO agreement with us if you don't have it, we'll create an application submit link tied to one of the email that you choose, and then we'll put your logo on there, we'll get rid of ours, we'll kill the nav buttons, you can add it to your website, and now you've got a funding tab on your website. It doesn't say Cash Buoy, it doesn't redirect back to our website, it's just yours. Now if they complete the app using that, obviously my underwriting department gets copied on it, but you do as well. So you'll know your merchant completed the app, we will know it's your merchant.
Yeah, and guys, that's really, really important to understand, because when you're looking at how the industry changes, and in the next session we're talking about some digital marketing aspects, right? And we're going to talk about branding. Like, you have a brand, whether it's Keith Sampson, whether it's my company, whether it's whatever, right? Even if you're a sole independent operator, you have a brand. And there is a ton of value of reinforcing your brand through your website by sending people back to it. I mentioned earlier how I host the Pay Anywhere how-to videos on my website through my own Vimeo. This is another one of those things. Like, why do I want to give up the opportunity to have people going back to my website, which I also have a referral button, it also has point of sale, they may find other things they need, when I could be sending them back to my website to apply for funding, right? I want them to keep going back and driving that brand recognition. It's really, really important. What do you see the future of merchant cash advances looking like in the next 12 months? Right now, obviously, we couldn't predict what COVID did to the industry. And just so you guys know, like, COVID killed a lot of cash advance businesses. Like my buddy Jake, whoever he used is gone. Bamboo, who's a division of ours, we cut that one. So the market is ripe for people to be able to go out and provide these services because the competition isn't nearly as steep as it used to be. So in your opinion, what does the next 12 months look like?
Well, it's the lenders are popping up out of nowhere after COVID, but I don't think they have legs. You won't see them around that much longer. Banks aren't going to go back and lend these small businesses. They're not going to go back and start lending that money. So the merchant cash advance space is just growing in the alternative lending space, and it really is the only option for a business that doesn't have assets and perfect credit and 2 years financials. It is the only option for them to get money, and it will continue to grow in that space.
Yeah, and one of the big things to remember, this is not loans, right? We don't use the terminology loans. It's different. It doesn't hit their debt-to-income reports. This is advancing merchants on their future business, okay? Now, they pay a fee to do that, obviously, but if somebody needs to keep an open line of credit with their bank or have the ability to go to their bank for something more traditional, and they don't want to touch that, and they want to have that available, they can do a program like this, and it doesn't have it effective on their credit score and those types of things when they're looking at those functions, correct?
Right, yeah. And we still get more sophisticated and larger companies that borrow money from us that have the ability to borrow a conforming product, but they'll come to us and say, Sean, we need $50,000 and we need it like in 48 hours, and we know our bank's not going to underwrite this for us that quick. So they're still coming to this space, even a more sophisticated company.
Perfect. Do you have anything you want to close out this little rapid fire with?
We're doing 15% commission through the end of the year for all new relationships. You get 15 points on the funded amount, so you do a $10,000 advance, which is about half the size of our average. You're getting paid $1,500. Please email me. I'll get a list here. Yes, sir?
I have a question next.
Huh?
I have an online question.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No, finish up what you're saying. I'll walk the mic over there.
Reach out. I'm going to send everyone that's in here in an email, but please reach out to our partners or info or Sean at cashbuoy.biz, and we'll get you an ISO, create the link for you, and help you, guide you any way you need it. Yeah?
Hold on a second. Oh, wait, and then we'll get the online one.
Is there any way to choose to, instead of getting a commission or giving up some of the commission, to lower the rate for the merchant?
Yeah, that's a great question. 100%. The answer is yes. So we actually didn't like the whole concept or model that other lenders were using where they allow the partner or agent to manipulate the price. So we just have the commission at default 10 points. If you want us to be more aggressive on the factor rate, we 100% will have that conversation with you, and we'll come down as well. But we'll never do that without talking to you first.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I think we got one more question online, and then we'll jump over to our next session.
Do you do ACH only for repayment, or still do old school per transaction payback?
It's a great question. Everyone says it's old school, but we're like the only ones doing it now. Like, I know, right? We only do split funding remittance. We no longer have an appetite for daily or weekly ACH. And again, we have a presence in the payment space, so we want to get paid back through their payments, and that's why part of the reason we don't do ACH. We actually add a lot more value to you guys, to your mid, by getting paid back through that mid, because your attrition rate will go to 0.
Is there a credit pull? Did I hear correctly that it does not affect credit score?
So what Keith was saying was, I believe from like a reporting perspective, we aren't reporting to the bureaus. We do run credit. We fund all the way down to a 500 score, which you'd think is everyone, but it's not. Their credit, as long as it's above 500, is not going to play a role in whether or not they're approved or declined. It will, however, play a role in for how much they're approved for relative to sales and the factor rate. So we do run credit.
Yeah, it just won't, to clarify, make sure I'm speaking correctly.
Yeah.
When people were to go to look at a traditional loan, they pull debt to income and they're looking at all the reporting. This isn't being reported as, oh, they took out a $20,000 amount.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's not showing on there.
If they're going to buy a home or a car or something.
What about
years of business?
Great question. We don't have, if they've been in business for 3 months, we'll fund them if they have enough volume. They need to have a minimum of $10,000 a month, but we will fund new businesses.
Yeah.
They have to have a minimum of $10,000 a month in credit card processing volume.
Yep. But even still, everything is comparable, right? They do $10,000 a month in credit card volume. They're not going to get $100,000 in a finance amount.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's all comparable based on need and stuff. The numbers they have to make sense.
It's all relative to sales.
Yep. All right, Sean. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So second to last session, marketing in a digital world. So we get this a lot, and again, I have, Mark has the extra microphone over there. I want Nate to have it close because I might ask Nate a couple questions. Just for a preference, this entire session is built for people who are generally doing it on their own, okay? Companies that actually have a full marketing strategy have people like Nate does for PayProTech's brand. Like, he's in this every single day. This is very, very, very minor, right? This is the lower end of stuff. This is like, hey, I'm not doing anything. I think if I take some pictures of an A920 and then do a Facebook ad in my market, I'm all of a sudden going to start getting calls and sell businesses, right? That's what this content is designed around. Now, I'm trying to learn more because I love it. In fact, I'm still going through a class through George Washington University on their digital marketing class, and it's been phenomenal. I've learned a ton about the strategy and everything else, but I'm not an executioner on this. So even some of the stuff that I show you, please Google it. You will learn more from Google and watching how-to videos than you will learn from me. The purpose of this is not to teach you how to do a Facebook ad from nothing to something. It's to talk about strategy. And again, the idea of if I simply do a Facebook ad, that's not going to cut it if I'm looking at my marketing strategy in the big picture. But for some reason, people still think that it is. So let's talk about what the strategy is. First thing you need to do, you want to try to figure out, what am I trying to accomplish? So I broke them down into two categories. I want brand explosion, and I like using that big word, explosion, right? I want people to know who I am. I want them to recognize my brand. You know, Square, Toast, we all know who they are, not because we compete against them, but we see them everywhere. They do brand explosion. You can accomplish brand explosion in your own marketplaces. That's where social media and digital marketing can play a huge role, right? But the difference between brand explosion versus sales conversion are two very different things. And the content and the strategy that you have can complement each other, but you execute them on them differently, right? So brand explosion takes a lot into consideration the content. What am I putting out there? I talked about value-based content, education, those things. Posting on all platforms, right? Get comfortable, figure out the platforms, learn, and then post on them, like putting the content out there. I'm going to show you some of the different aspects of that. It gives you an opportunity to show your expertise, right? You guys are payment professionals and then some, point-of-sale professionals, consulting. Heck, you just heard from Sean. You're now merchant funding professionals. So create some content, show your expertise through your brand so that way you build that brand recognition. Another great piece is testimonials and content from customers. Nobody sings louder for yourself than somebody else, right? I get up there and say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this, I run a great business, versus Joe sitting there going, or Sally, hey, I'm so glad they're a partner of mine. I couldn't do what I do without the technology and the solutions that they bring. Screams massive. And I'll use as an example, that's brand explosion, okay? You're not going to have at the end of that go, hey, now go sign up with them and use them too, right? The idea of converting a testimonial to sales conversion is much more difficult. You have to take them through a funnel and those types of things. Engagement. Using the platforms and social media for customer engagement, right? And I've talked about this in some other different sessions, from the thankfulness one to building an incredible customer experience and so forth. The idea of following all of your customers and potential customers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, keeping up with what they're doing and then commenting and engaging with them on it, massively helps build your brand and keeps your name in front of them, as well as potential ones, right? If you have a merchant that you're quoting or you're wanting to get, start following them, start engaging with them, build your brand and recognition, and it all does take time, right? To comment on a client that you want to get post on Facebook or Instagram and say, this is great, I love it, I'm going to share it with my team. Cost you $0. It just takes you the time to do it, right? Building brand recognition ahead of face-to-face canvassing. Now this is where if you're looking at entering and hey, I'm going to be in Dallas-Fort Worth area for 2 weeks and I'm going to canvass the area and I'm going to segment specific things. I'm going to sit there and go, I'm going to target all nail salons, spas, and anything appointment-based because I want to try to sell Growzilla into every single one of those while I'm here for 2 weeks. Well, is it better I walk in the door and they have no idea who I am? Or if I put you part of my strategy of putting out information about my brand, Growzilla, how I help businesses in this space, and I start paying for Facebook ads, again, for brand explosion, not necessarily sales conversion, but brand explosion, and I start doing targeted ads for the right audience in those demographics of where I want to be. Now when I walk in the door, we've all experienced this. How many times have you all of a sudden start seeing stuff consistently on Facebook, right? They just built brand recognition with you, and now imagine if they walk in the door and say, hey, oh yeah, I got you. I've seen your stuff, right? The idea of priming for canvassing can definitely play a role and increase the opportunities for appointments and sales from those canvassing because you've already done the preliminary work for them of having them a little bit more comfortable with you, right? They've already recognizing your name versus Joe Schmo walking in the door and just being another person that can, quote, save them money. Now let's talk about sales conversion. This has to be purposeful, and it's about filling a funnel. And again, this is something I personally don't do. I have never done, so I speak on it from a level of expertise about this big, okay? And I will, at the end, talk about what to do if you're sitting like me and you want to do this and your expertise is like this big, okay? Get help. But you want to talk, it's specifically going after targeted audiences, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. You want to include calls to action. Like, so if I do an ad, what's my next step? Is it visiting a Facebook or like a website? Am I clicking on something? What's the next step? Simply going, hey, here's my phone number and call me for a free smart terminal that's pictured in this ad isn't going to generate much calls to action, right? So having step-to-step calls to action. And then a pathway to the sale is being built. At the end of the day, everybody wants sales, okay? So is sales conversion content, sales conversion posting, moving people towards that sale versus just brand explosion? Now, how many think you guys are capable of doing this? Okay, we'll talk about that. One piece of encouragement, you know how I mentioned I was at the 3-Ring Circus thing last week? So Josh Linker, who's from Detroit area, he's a big-time speaker on innovation and creativity. And he shared a piece, and I love it, and he talked about we were all born creative. Right? I've got my son who's almost 3. The kid's coloring like crazy. Last week I was gone, he colored on the couch. Like, think about it, right? We were all creative at some point in time. Whether it was when we were infants and wanted to color and scribble, and our parents were happy and excited to put something on the fridge, or we were in art class in elementary school. And then over time, something happens to our creativity where it either gets squelched, we lose confidence, but we were all born creative. It might just take a little bit, if you're going to do this on your own, to kind of dig that out. Step out of that uncomfortable zone that you might be in, cringing, going, I've seen Keith's videos on social. I can't do that. Great, don't. Write something. Take a piece of content from a Growzilla. Write a statement about it. Create that way. Start finding those creative juices in you and getting it going, because initially we were all born to do it. We just have to dig it out a little bit further. But understanding your target market. And I think people tend to make the mistake when they're diving into this for the first time of going, again, hey, because I see it on all these other Facebook groups in the industry. I want to do Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. We all see Facebook ads. But do you understand most of the experience that we equate ourselves to isn't in the actual buyer's shoes? We go, well, I see ads. That means other people are going to see my ads, which means people are going to buy. Look, when people place ads, especially in a direct-to-consumer space, this is what's happening. Everybody's seeing it, right? Kind of like a billboard. I put a billboard out on a major highway, 100,000 cars can go by. How many of you guys have ever done a billboard for credit card processing? Okay. Do you still do that billboard?
I did it for a year, and it worked.
Okay.
Then they culminated that stuff.
Okay, so however you got the strategy on it, I applaud you, because that's a freaking hard thing to do, because just like billboards, this is what can happen on Facebook ads. You can have 100,000 people see it, and 3 people might actually be buyers. And then out of those 3 people, are they in the space, mood, and time to actually want to click to learn more because I'm actually looking, right? Same thing with the billboard. You can drive 100,000 cars, you can drive by it. One of those persons has to be a buyer who's ready to call based on the billboard. That's difficult. Versus if I have a clothing store or a shoe store and it's off the next exit, 3 out of 100,000 could turn into 500 out of 100,000 people may want to stop at my shoe store that's on the next exit. Right? We have to make sure we're understanding the difference in a direct-to-consumer mindset and a business. We're working with businesses. We want that business-to-business mindset. So you have to understand, you might do an ad in an area, and you might have 100,000 people see it. How many other people are actually going to be consumers on that? Nate, we talked about this a little bit last night when we were going through this. Do you have anything you want to add on this? Because, like, again, Nate is living in this every single day on a very big place. You got the microphone.
Well, you can switch high over there, camera, way over. Here's what I would say is, the number one thing that happens is in online advertising is you just forget that you're not a company, but you need to be a person. And what we're seeing is you want to compete against, if people say, oh, Facebook advertising doesn't work, well, tell Toast and Square that, because 50% of their business was brought in from that. But you want to compete against them, be a real person, and actually sell as a person, not as a business, and make that brand about who you are and what you're bringing. Because what's the difference between Toast and Square in this industry? It's all of you. And that is when you bring that out and helping identify your target market, and it's helping you become, it's a person-to-person sale. It's a different mindset. But the most successful ISOs that we've been able to work alongside of, when they actually, they don't have to be fancy, they don't have to do anything over the top. In fact, a lot of times, the choppier it is, the more typos sometimes, can't be terrible typos, but things that kind of like make it real, draw more attention and bring in the business. Because we can get into the targeting and things like that and all the Facebook ads and things like that, but if you want to be a real person, that's what's going to make you successful. And we're to see way too many businesses. If you guys really want to get into this, I have a photo, I probably have 600 sample ads of our competitors across there just as a photo. I take screenshots of every single one. Facebook's 100% convinced that I'm a small business owner of like 5,000 different businesses because I make sure I'm in the targeting for all of our competitors. I see every one of their ads. I then go in their Facebook ad library, see what they're targeting, make sure we know what they're doing. And what I see time after time is they treat the businesses as these inanimate objects. If you treat the businesses as the people that are behind there, that are wanting to make a living, and you treat and show them that you're a person, it makes a major difference. That's what I would start there.
And actually that tees up right into the next piece, and we did not practice that, so thank you, Nate, is really understanding that marketing is more about attention, right? You can't sell anybody till you'll have their attention. So when you're existing as a person and you're creating content around that and you're getting their attention, then that leads you to the ability to walk them down a sales process, right? So understanding, where does your potential customer spend their time? If I'm going to get their attention, who is it? Where is it? How do they interact? How do they engage? What are they looking at, right? So who's your customer? Business to business, which we all primarily deal with businesses, right? And here's another thing, understanding this on a basic level will help you have consultative conversations with your merchants, right? I mean, if you're sitting there trying to find more value to bring to your customers and have conversations, they're going, man, I just can't figure out how to bring more people in the door. Know that they're trying to bring direct consumer business or people into their door. You're trying to work with other businesses. Two different strategies, but understanding that you can still piggyback and have value-added conversations. Great. You want to bring more people in your door because you want them to buy shoes from you. Who's your target market? How old are they? What generation are they? Where do they live, play, and exist? What are you doing to get their attention in that space? Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. Now you just brought value, right? Even in a face-to-face environment. Or is it a hybrid? There's businesses out there that have both. I've got a wholesale, I'm a direct-to-consumer through a website, but I also sell my belts to other businesses who resell them. And then understanding their platform and their needs. Who is your audience? And again, this is built for anybody, whether it's existing customers. We just talked about cash advance with Cash Buoy. Now all of a sudden my target audience, if I'm going to make sure that everybody knows I have that, includes my existing customers for sure. Then I've got potential customers, right? So if I'm going to sit there and take out, let's say, an ad in the Warsaw area for my business, and I want to communicate, are you running into issues this season needing funding for your business? Contact me, blah, whatever. I'm just kind of ad-libbing here a little bit. But I know I want my existing customers to see that and know I do it. I also have it as an opportunity for new customers. But within that, understand that there's different players in that purchasing decision. Earlier today when I went through sell on price, lose on price, I talked about that buyer experience, right? Here, when you're trying to understand your audience, know how that takes place. You have the buyer, and you guys have all experienced this on one level or another. You have the person that needs to sign the paperwork or give the final approval. Then you've got the decision maker sometimes. So they actually make the decision, but somebody else buys what's being told. Then you have the influencer of the buyer, which can be the decision maker or cannot be the decision maker. The influencer might be a store manager, but the GM is the one that has to get the owner to actually sign off on it. So the manager is influencing the general manager what they need to look at. Toast has done a phenomenal job of this, and it's why they pay $500 to bartenders and servers that generate leads that turn into Toast deals, because they understand who influences the buyer. Right? They are building relationships with people that go, I hate our point of sale system. Hey, my buddy over at this one is using this, and they love it. You should look at them too. That server's not the decision maker or the buyer, but they're definitely the influencer. And then what generation are they in? I have talked about this on a couple different sessions, and I will keep talking about it because it is uncomfortable for a lot of people. But having generational awareness, I think, is one of the lowest hanging fruits that we all can do as both business and sales professionals. And what do I mean by that? I'll get that in a second in another slide. But existing customers, will they buy again? Will they share their experience? Can they become an advocate? How many of you guys can look at your existing customer base right now and go, would they choose to buy from me a second time? Will they tell other people about how much they love me? Are they an advocate for me? Meaning, am I getting referrals from them? Okay? If the answer to that is no, I'm sitting here trying to do Facebook ads, and I haven't even built brand explosion within my own customer base. Right? The best customer leads you can possibly get are referrals. Save yourself time, energy, and money, and don't do Facebook ads. Dig in on your existing customers. Do what you have to do to help them generate more business for you. Potential customers, what do they have to see or hear in order to change their current buying pattern or decision? You got to remember, everybody who's in business today is already using somebody. So what are you going to do to disrupt that current experience? When you're looking at getting attention in marketing, it has to be substantial enough to interrupt that experience. The buyer, I already mentioned the buyer may be different than the actual customer. The influence of the buyer, we talked about that. The buyer will have others in their lives that influence the buying decision. In retail clothing, guess what? Like, I buy a lot of my stuff, but I'll use a kind of a fun story. A lot of women buy their husbands their clothes, right? Okay? A lot of women's kids are telling the mom what dad needs to wear. So the influencer is the kid, the buyer is the mom, the end user is the dad. You have three different people. So if I have a clothing store trying to sell to men, who should I actually be trying to get the attention of? The wife and the kids, right? And this blows my mind. And I work with a lot of men's clothing stores being in that group. Why men's clothing stores aren't putting content out on their Facebook pages that go, the top 5 hottest nail colors coming into the fall of 2021? Like, if your market's the women because you want them to buy the clothes for the men, shouldn't you be creating content that's going to get their attention? And people miss that mark, right? Generational awareness. Let's talk about that for a second. This is the latest study, and everybody wants to break down generations by like that, given 1980 to whatever it was as millennials and everything else. You have to understand that generational awareness is built around behavior. Now, that behavior can shift based on where were you born? Were you born in a major city on the coast? Were you born in a small town in the Midwest? Some of those things can push things by a couple years. Different countries, that type of stuff. But then also generations can also shift their behavior, but they still shift as a generation. How many of you can be guilty of it, at least heard millennials getting dogged in the last 8 years? Right? Just like millennials are lazy, millennials are this, millennials are that, right? They looked at the behavior at the time of the millennials and started making judgments based on that. How many people still hear or feel that? She's looking around. I'm a millennial, so, right? So, and one, I never fell into that category because I'm on the other end. I'm a 1977 birth year, so I can identify Gen X or millennial. I'm a cusper is what they call. Strong work ethic, everything else. But did you know the millennial generation are opening up more businesses at younger ages than any other generation before them? They're buying homes at greater paces than any other generation before them. They're amassing more wealth than any other generation before them. They are also on deck to inherit more wealth from their passing grandparents and parents than any other generation before them. You still think they're lazy? Now what about Gen Z? Gen Z are the ones on the upside right now, are 25 years old. You think business owners had it hard identifying and try to sell to millennials? It's a whole other ballgame with Gen Z. Everything's instant. They hate email, right? So if I'm going to sit there and build a marketing strategy and how am I going to get the attention, whether I'm selling shoes or I'm selling point of sale systems, now you have these, like I said, the 25-year-olds are entering the workplace. They're becoming influencers within the workplace. Everything generations do always trend up. We do things at our ages when younger millennials were doing them first, but they all adopt up. So the stuff that Gen Z is doing now is going to drive the economy for the next 10 years. And if you're not understanding where they live, work, play, and what's important to them, you're going to fail on connecting with businesses that will either be influenced by Gen Z or need to meet the needs of Gen Z. Okay? Gen Z is the first generation that's always had technology in their fingertips. They're the generation that was like, they're sitting in now, like I said, 25, so even a couple years ago, they're sitting at the bar. Hey, I'll get your drinks. Great, let me Venmo you. Instant cash transfer without digging a wallet out of their pocket. How many of you guys were doing that at the age of 21, 22? None of us, okay? Right? So the reason why I'm saying all of this is, now what if your merchants want to be able to, what if their target market is Gen Z? What if they have a clothing store for the 20 to 30-year-olds, and yet you only offer payment processing through credit card? Do you think you're going to have the opportunity to win that business? Or do you need to teach them how to create a tender within the point of sale system to be able to select for Venmo because they want to Venmo the merchant the payment for their jeans and close that ticket out to Venmo? Oh yeah, but Keith, that means we don't make any money on it. Who cares? Because if you don't, somebody else is going to do that. But having the conversation of, hey, do you ever have any customers that come in here and ask if they can pay with Venmo? Oh man, I've been seeing it all the time. Great, I'm going to help show you how to do it. Really? Because nobody has yet. Like, that's identifying and creating the generational awareness piece. Read this book. I'm almost done with it. Jason Dorsey, he's the guy that I've been getting a lot of this from. Him and his wife have the, what is it called? Generational Kinetics something or other. That's their business. The guy has spoken with the Pope. Let me put it this way. He was the keynote speaker for Global Payments Conference a few weeks ago and spoke about this topic, about how Gen Z is changing the face of the economy today and into the future. That book is eye-opening. And again, kind of moved away from the digital side of things, but let me tie it back. The reason why this is really, really important to understand is because if I want to focus and try to spend money on social media and marketing to drive attention, drive brand explosion, who are my customers? How am I going to get there? Understanding the different platforms. Understanding that I have to get comfortable with this. Because otherwise you end up like this guy. How many people in here have emails? Everybody has an email address, okay? How many people communicate at all through direct messenger on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other platform? That is the next email. If you all don't have a presence on a platform and have the ability to accept a direct message or send a direct message, it's like saying, I don't want an email address. You end up like this guy. Gen Z communicates through apps and direct text messaging. They will not send an email. You think my unread email box of 9,418 emails is bad? They might even have an email app on their phone. So how am I going to get their attention as a buyer or an influencer of a buyer if I can't even connect with them? So email has its place, though, still. Sending larger amounts of information, communicating with the business, communicating with multiple parties. Again, add it as a layer of communication. I'll sit there and text, like I did it this morning. I have an opportunity to get a company from Clarent, somebody that's in my network of the clothing stores that I'm in. He sent me over the statements, got the analysis back. I took a screenshot on my phone because I literally was running this morning when it hit, stopped running, took a screenshot of the analysis on my phone, texted it to him, also shot him an email that said, hey, I'm doing a training thing today. When I get a chance, I'll make this look a lot prettier and put over the overall value proposition, but I at least wanted to respond quickly on where we were at. It's a $190,000 a month retail men's clothing store. I did that in between running and leading today, and I didn't touch my computer. Like, this is the stuff that we have to be able to get into and do. Social as communication, direct messaging, mass distribution of information. Sharing value without knowing who may see it, right? Getting comfortable with that value-added content piece. And anymore now, you have to look as social is the internet. I listen to a lot of Gary Vee stuff. And he's like, the social media boom is like internet 2.0. You know, NFTs is going to be like internet 3.0. Okay, anymore now, it's not just Google. It's not just going to a URL. Social media, all platforms, TikTok, whatever, it is all the internet. So what's in a following? And I'm going to kind of cruise through this. Is it quality or quantity or both? Number one mistake you can do is pay for followers. Don't ever, ever do it. It kills, from a technology perspective, it actually kills your organic reach. Okay? From a credibility standpoint, and I can name some people, I see their stuff all the time. How is it that you can go and look at somebody that has 1.2 million followers and there's like 123 likes on a post? BS through all of it, right? So if they're willing to lie about how many followers they have, what else are they willing to lie about? Just to get my attention or try to make me think that they're better at something. Never pay for followers. Build your following through organic reach and value-added content. You can ask people, hey, follow me. Ask your friends to follow me, but don't pay for followers. But the quality of your content matters. Okay? You can, if you think, I don't have time to post a lot, great, set a goal. Once a week, I'm going to post a post that has really good value-added content. Instead of just one a day and flinging stuff out there. Now, the best is both, right? Where you're sitting there doing pictures, this, and value-added content, and you're just really driving the attention. But if I don't have the time and energy for that, do one post once a week, really value-added. Understand tagging and hashtags, and we'll talk about that in a second. Understand really who influences the buyer. We've discussed that. The buyer of a point-of-sale system may or may not be the owner. Obviously, it is the owner. The influencer may have more say and pull. What generation are they in? I kind of discussed that as well. So let's talk about tagging and hashtags for a minute. Tagging posts and stories. Number one, how many of you guys know how to tag in a story or a post? Okay, one of those things, Google it. It's really, really easy once you know how to. The power of tagging multiplies. So imagine sitting there going, with one simple step, I multiply my effort. So I did a LinkedIn post earlier. Took the picture that we did, a little selfie here in the room, along with some other pictures. I threw it on LinkedIn. I tagged North American Bank Card, and I tagged ChargeZoom as a sponsor. If I hadn't tagged those two entities, my reach is this. By simply tagging two more entities, my reach goes to this. Okay? And so you want to it was simple. But tagging allows you to give exposure. It also allows you to kind of give that fist bump, right, virtually. So if I'm at one of my customers and I take a picture of my dinner at the restaurant at STK, I did this in Nashville, right? I was down to STK Nashville last week, one of my customers, take a picture, I do a post of me in front with the Red Bull outside, I post it on my story, I tag it in it, I go and look at who viewed it later, STK viewed it. They're seeing that I'm at their facility spending money. Right? That gives them, when you tag somebody in it also, it allows them to also take that and share it to their story with a single click. So now all of a sudden, I can get greater reach, greater exposure because I simply tagged somebody in it. They see that I was tagged, and that gives them the option, share to your story? Yes. Boom, now it's in their story. Understand tagging. You can tag in a picture, tag in a story, and then timeline adding as well. And there's a difference in those. Hashtags. Hashtags are kind of one of those things that people understand but don't understand, and like, oh, I see hashtags on there, but why do I have hashtags on there? Number one, research top hashtags on a platform. And you can do that, right? What hashtags are people following? Hashtags aren't simply going, oh, I see a hashtag in a picture, even though this is one of them. What else is tagged as positivity? Click, and I see more content. But you actually have people out there that follow hashtags the same way they do accounts. So if I follow the hashtag positivity, any stuff that people hashtag positivity in may show up in my feed. So when you're looking for people who are wanting to find growth mindset content or things about point of sale or payments, they may search a hashtag of point of sale, and now they're looking at all the content that has that hashtag in there. Hashtags are really, really important. If you don't add hashtag to your social posts, you're missing out on the opportunity for people to find you, to find your content and whatnot. So search hashtags to find potential connections. And we're going to go ahead and sit there and play a video. So let's go ahead and hopefully you can hear this. Thing, especially from a couple years ago, and people really didn't understand it, and all of a sudden, why are people putting hashtags on all these posts? But it's relevant, okay? Again, Google hashtagging and doing, top 3 things to hashtag properly. There's tons of content out there, and you just don't know. It's going to make you seem more credible. It's going to allow people to help find you. So let's talk about some, real quick, primary platforms to focus on. You can create content and work leads for free by doing this smart. Okay, again, it takes time and energy, and sometimes, yes, money if you're going to pay for it. I pay for 0 ads, but I create a lot of content. Okay, if you follow me on the I Am Keith Sampson on Instagram, my stuff on LinkedIn or whatever, you'll see that I'm putting stuff out there and creating content. It doesn't cost me anything, but it's getting me exposure. It's building my brand. It's building my reputation. So LinkedIn, in my opinion, especially in the business-to-business model, very strategic and very purposeful, right? People don't go on LinkedIn and share pictures of their puppies or kids. You're dealing with a different kind of content. Not that you can't create content for the business that shows puppies or kids, but it's different, right? It's that quality versus quantity. Facebook, groups, comments, content. There's like Facebook, even though it isn't the attention getter that it may used to have been, it's still a valuable tool for education and research. Like people join groups. I have an Airstream. When I first bought an Airstream last fall to redo, I started researching Airstream groups. You know how many connections I've gotten for where to buy vintage parts and things to make? I have learned so much about Airstreams from Airstream groups on Facebook. And then they point me into YouTube, right? So that's another big piece. I'll go back to Instagram in a second. YouTube right now is displacing Google as the #1 search engine. How many people knew that? More people, and this is behavior being driven by Gen Z, and millennials. More people go to YouTube and search how to or what is or whatever it is they want to find stuff out about before they go to Google. So if you're not producing content or having some kind of place on YouTube, my YouTube game is really small. I'm really just trying to build it. That's also why we're building and have a Transcend YouTube channel, okay, to put some of this content out there. It's really important. You know, once I understood that YouTube is displacing Google as the #1 search engine, okay, that's time for a behavior change. Instagram, great for business awareness, commenting, tagging. Okay, it's not the primary resource where people go to find out a whole bunch of information, but it's fun, it's quick, it's a fast hit, right? I follow all my customers on Instagram so that way I can see when Kirchers is saying happy birthday to their daughter Molly and they're slam busy with pumpkin season and everything. I can throw a comment on there, happy birthday Molly, I'll see you when I bring my kids next weekend. Right? I'm following them on Instagram so I can engage with one of my clients that we also do that with. TikTok. I have like 2 TikTok videos. Like, if you're comfortable and can do TikTok because it's massive exposure. But also, I know it's hard. And like any of these, understand the platforms before you invest in them and do what's comfortable. Like, I haven't started playing in TikTok because it's just not comfortable for me yet. I've been sitting there doing like all my attention on some of the other stuff and building content around that. Eventually, I'll start playing in TikTok. How many of you guys know what TikTok is? How many of you guys have been on TikTok? The fastest demographic for TikTok over the last 3 months, 30 to 50. Like every platform that comes out, it starts young and ages up. Just wait. Eventually, we're all going to be going, crap, I should have been on TikTok, just like we're saying, crap, I should have been on Instagram or Facebook. Right? Eventually, that will come around. So let's talk about LinkedIn, though, real quick, because I really wanted to focus on this, especially after the B2B training that we've been focusing on and some of the platform stuff. We did the guide to interchange, and LinkedIn is really where you can spend a lot of time and energy and get a high return on investment on it. So number one, how are you seen on LinkedIn? If you're going to do business with another business professional of any sort whatsoever, they're going to look you up in LinkedIn. So what are they going to find? They're going to find a profile. They're going to find pictures on there. Is it going to be filled out? Is it going to have your name, website, phone number, email address? How can they contact you? Are they going to see posts that you're interacting with? Because on LinkedIn, you can click activity and see all activity that people do. If you share a post on LinkedIn, if you comment, love this, meant a lot to me, they see that. Then they can click posts and look at your posts, specifically on LinkedIn. How can you find others and prospects? Search local companies. James Shepard and I did a generating leads session last fall, I think it was October, and he has a really strong strategy for using LinkedIn to generate business leads. Go watch it, check it out. I mean, it's on point. Join groups, thought leadership. This is big for business-to-business development. You want to find the big whales out there that, like when ChargeZoom was talking about, hey, they don't even accept credit cards. Join some AR, some accounting groups, accounting and payables groups, and watch the content that they pump through. Watch what they're talking about, their struggles. How do I get my ARs reduced from 45 days down to 21? And you'll find people that all of a sudden become, oh my gosh, I can help them. And then you find out that they need to process $5 million a month. And you found that lead because of strategic access on LinkedIn. I threw a little thing in here on LinkedIn. Like I said, I think it's the #1 business platform that you need to be creating content in, especially in the B2B vertical. Again, you live in the space like what Nate does and the stuff he does on Facebook and lives in it every single day. It's a different thing. What I'm saying is you're a single person running a business and you're doing a whole lot of other stuff. If I have time to create one post, I'm sharing it across all platforms. I'm changing the wording a little bit because the audience is different. But LinkedIn, for me, is really where it's at from a big picture. So I got to speak at Grace College a couple weeks ago, and you can see in here I tagged Grace College, and I tagged the teacher, Heidi Miller. Oh, and I got some hashtags, right? Because, again, driving the attention. You can see on here at the time where I took this, 1,341 views of that post. Now, you might go, but Keith, you only got 35 likes. I don't care. I got 1,341 views. Think about it. How often do you guys see things on social media and you don't click like? They still got your attention even for a second. Don't get caught up on the likes. Get caught up on the attention. Okay? Pretend there isn't even the likes. You have no idea. Let's say that was covered, and you had no idea how many. You just sit there and go, over 1,300 views of that post. That's awesome, right? We have another one over here, and I use this. This is smaller. Shola Richards was a speaker at Global Leadership this past year. Awesome. Awesome speaker. Great content. And this is just, there was no pictures. So in LinkedIn, pictures matters as well. Okay? This is just a statement. We are defined by how we treat each other. I tagged Shola in it. He's one of the people that liked it. I only got 4 likes, only 289 views. And then you go over here. This is one from Retail Now where they sent me a certificate for speaking there. Tagged them, okay? And then I tagged a whole bunch of people. Jim Rohde, Kathy Meter, all the people at North American Bank Card and people that work with the RSPA, along with some hashtags. 24 interactions, 860 views. My next example is when I want to compare LinkedIn to Instagram. Okay, in a business profile on Instagram, you can view views by going into the data off of the post. Exact same post, okay, around the idea of sending thank you cards out. It literally says, every day I have a goal to write 4 to 5 thank you cards. They may be to clients, businesses I'm working on getting, people that impact me daily or recently, or a business that gave me a great experience. Thank you goes a long way. Provides a light to someone's day as well as builds a mindful perspective of gratitude in your business. All the hashtags, right? Same thing over there. I tweaked the wording a little bit for Instagram because, again, the audience is different. This one had 27 reactions, 7 comments, almost 2,000 views. The exact same content on Instagram. Now, granted, I have a smaller following on Instagram than I do LinkedIn. Reach, 90. And I had 6 interactions. 2 different platforms, exact same content. Different kind of audiences, different kind of exposure, how things are driven organically. Okay, this took me, like, to write it, take a picture and write it, took what, like 5 minutes. And then once it's written the first time, it was copy, pasted into Instagram, upload the picture, done. Do the same thing on Facebook. Well, I have Instagram connected to Facebook, so it shares it immediately. I can throw it on Twitter. Twitter limits your number of words, so I might have to remove a little bit or change it a little bit, but I can do the same thing there. That's another 2 minutes. So by simply just going through and having a piece and then putting on all platforms and then customizing it a little bit, copy, paste. It's a lot easier than what you think it is. So 3 action items to get in on what I call the digital gold rush, because attention is free if you're willing to put in the work. I have more people that are recognizing me, that are reaching out, that are doing things like when I literally was at 3 Ring Circus last week in Nashville, sitting next to a guy named Paul Epstein, who's a published author. He used to work in the NFL. He's a $20,000 a gig speaker. Some other people, and they knew who I was because they looked me up on LinkedIn before the event. And they're like, man, we love those Monday Minute or 5 videos you're doing. How'd you come up with that idea? I'm like, I did them for a private group for the last 1.5 years, and I figured if I can do it and bring value to a private group for North American Bank Card, I can create them and for everybody. With the idea if it brings value to one person, great, I'm happy. So it's just stepping out and doing it, but get educated on execution. But start by getting on every platform and following your customers. You want to take that baby step into this, that's kind of the scary, unknown area. Build a profile on every platform. Start with your customers. Just start searching them. Give me a second, Ken. Just start following them, right? Interacting with them, engaging with them. Even if making content yourself is scary, at least being on the platform for them to be able to direct message you. Because if that's how they reach out to you, then that's how they reach out to you. Create a budget for marketing. Kind of a good range. 8 to 10% of your sales are residuals. If you're making $100,000 a year in residuals, plan on spending $8,000 to $10,000 on marketing if you want to continue to grow your business at the rate that you want to grow it at. Be purposeful about it, okay? If you're ramping up, obviously, you're only making $1,000 a month, let's say, but you're going to sit there and pour that back in and ramp it up to get more and more accounts. Doing it right can be an extremely lucrative return on investment. If you don't know how to do it right, my 3rd takeaway, find somebody to help, but you've got to commit to it, right? Find someone like a Nate, like whoever. There might be a company in your town that you can build a partnership with. They might handle your social media, and all of a sudden you're paying them, but they're also pumping you with referrals for other companies that they're working with, and they're doing the stuff, and they're bringing up brand explosion as well as sales opportunities. It might be the best business relationship and money you've ever spent. If you can't do it, find somebody who can help. on that note, we'll take some Q&A before our last session on Edge and the different platforms. So, Chris, do you have any questions online first? And the microphone's sitting next to Nate. Okay. Anybody? Ken, you have a question? And thanks, Ken. So everybody at home, we always have people talking to the microphone so you can hear them. Go ahead.
Is there a day of the week you recommend to do your posting? Like, sit down and do something. Is there a time frame that you believe is better so it doesn't get absorbed with all the other people that are posting?
Oh man, Nate, do you have any data around that?
So on LinkedIn specifically, there's a professional option that they offer. It's called Sales Navigator, and they usually say Tuesdays and Thursdays from I think it's like 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern is what they have seen throughout all their client base as the highest time. So on LinkedIn, I would say Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. Think about it, right? From the old school of when do you call merchants? Mondays are always bad telemarketing days or follow-up days because they're trying to build their list, get everything ready for the week, right? So you don't call on a Monday. Okay, Friday, they're already checked out. Back when I was in, when I was doing Wildman, Wednesdays sucked because literally people always had meetings on Wednesday. We had Wednesday meetings all day. We had our key data meeting, or this meeting. So Tuesdays and Thursdays for me and following up on the phone were always the two best days to do it. Now, personally, I try to just pump out content. So I started doing the Monday Minute or 5 with this group, with the NAB Facebook group, because it was amazing, for me at least, the stuff that I would come up with. I would listen to a podcast, or I'm cutting the grass, or I'm running, and I would have a thought, and then I would write something about it, and I wouldn't want to wait to share it, right? So I look at going, hey, Mondays, in my opinion, are my most favorite day of the week. Mondays set the tone for the rest of the week. Most people hate Mondays. I say if you hate Mondays, find another job. Right? You love what you're doing. Don't sit there and go, oh man, tomorrow's Monday and it's Sunday night. Find something else then if you're hating Mondays. Right? So I put out content on Mondays because I want to fire people up and give them something to start the week out with. And what I've seen too is that does carry over into Tuesdays and stuff. But I generally on LinkedIn, I won't post too much over the weekend. But I will say, sometimes, depending on your content, I've gotten great reactions when I have. Because think about it, people aren't in meetings on Saturday, but if they're watching football and they're scrolling on their social media, I've had some really good interactions and stuff on the weekend too. So it's kind of hard to gauge it. I just say, post all the time. Post every day. But, if you're really looking at going one time, I would look at like Monday or Tuesday, and I would avoid the Friday, Saturday, Sunday if that's all you could do. Even if it's creating the content over the weekend and then saving it to post is probably what I would say. Does that help you, Ken? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? We can float the mic around too. All right. Well, on that note, we're a couple minutes past the different programs in this space. I need to grab a drink. I wanted those drinks later, but at least something right now to wet my throat for the moment. All right, so everybody always kind of waits for the Edge special edition sessions because we always try to do it for a different spin. So I will say, and I always begin every single one of them, that all of these are recorded, and you can go into your partner portal, go under Tools and Training. You can look at Edge, and it'll have the pre-done Edge ones that we've put in there. The one that is not in there is the Edge overview. Okay, we do those every Monday, and it's pretty much the same thing, except I'll usually do them and might have a little fresh little spin to it. But I don't put that in there because I want people to engage on Mondays with me and answer questions, and it's a lot of fun. Okay?
Is this where the bathroom is?
No, you missed that one.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, actually, the guy back there is waiting for you to sit down next to him, and yeah. Everybody at home, Brian Linky just walked in the room. You probably heard his voice if you know him anyways, because he's that loud. But anyways, in our partner portal, Edge, but you can also search up in the thing, Edge, and it'll show you all of the Roadshow sessions we've done. Okay, so this content is there, but I always try to generate some unique and different content at these Roadshows. So in this one, I was really looking forward to, because I wanted to time it with one of these, with one of the AA shows, as some people like to call them, because everybody's out there trying to spin and sell their programs. So I kind of wanted to take my NAB hat off, my Edge hat off, and go, how do I create an educational session that says, here are the different programs. Here's what's right, here's what's wrong, here's what the customer experience looks like, and put that out here for everybody to see. So, number one, one thing I want you to understand, intent matters. Especially if you're trying to build a brand and build for reputation. Intent matters. And I might sound like I'm standing on a soapbox, but I am in all of the merchant groups, and it drives me crazy to see content and posts around where the obvious intent is 100% selfish versus noble. Okay? Many, many people in our industry are in this industry not for noble intent, but selfish intent. Even more of those are in it as a percentage when dealing with the cash discount space. They do not care about the customer. They do not care about the experience. They care about the residual check. 100% selfish intent. I'm telling you, as this channel grows, and it's still, in my opinion, it's still in its infancy, right? We haven't started seeing spotlights on the news yet around this. It's coming. Trust me, it's coming. Because when you start disrupting consumer behavior enough, the media, legislation, and everything else starts to pay attention. And I'll pull in, if people don't believe me on that, let's look at EMV. Why do you think that we had to do EMV cards in America? Was it because the card brands wanted us to? Or was it because the consumers finally said we wanted it? We were the last country to adopt EMV because the customers didn't demand it. Now, eventually, after the data breaches, the big ones with Home Depot and Target, remember those? Okay? Both the consumers and in the world of the consumers, the businesses started demanding it. Over in Europe, because somebody could counterfeit a card and drive through 5 countries like we do 5 states, and they couldn't go back and forth, there the consumers were demanding it. Like, card holders in Europe were like, we need protection. People are stealing my money. Here it was slower. But you better believe as consumer behavior changes, as more and more people start going, why am I paying a fee to use my credit card? As you start seeing educational pieces out there on Dateline or whatever else that sit there and say, hey, if you ever see a fee added to a debit card transaction, you know you can fight that, right? There's an industry trying to fleece you. And you have an educated customer base of that, it changes all of our worlds. So let's talk about, first, intent matters. And when you enter this space with noble intent and building it for the merchants, you're not only going to build a portfolio that will maximize your potential, you're going to do it for the long run. So let's talk about surcharging first. Proper registered surcharging. You register, again, I'm not going to go through all the stuff. I can put up websites and talk all day long about any one of these. These are overviews. Research them yourselves further. At home, guys, you can be looking up the computer on stuff while we're doing this too. Whatever you want. Register with the card brands and wait to implement. That's what surcharging is, right? You add a fee to the transaction. You must have equipment that recognizes when a debit card is inserted, and it does not add the fee to a debit transaction. And I'll reiterate what I went over on the last couple sessions. Please get over the idea and the fact that debit cards run as a credit, you can add a fee. You cannot. Okay, the card brands are very clear. A debit transaction is any type of transaction, PIN, or signature that takes money out of a bank account. And in surcharging world, you cannot add a fee to a debit transaction, period. You must hang proper signage and create the correct experience. I'll show you that here in a second. It's allowable now in 48 states. So it continues to get opened up. Okay, the Card X's and everything else are doing a good job of the legislation and pushing that and getting in some of those other states where you couldn't surcharge, can finally surcharge. Visa surcharge requirements. Again, you guys are going to get all this. I'm not making stuff up. And people that know me and have been listening to my content and my talking for the last 3 years know I have absolutely no problem talking about what's unpopular in the room if it's based in truth, right? Because otherwise I'm just some guy that's sitting here spinning the stuff you want to hear. So even though we may not like some of this stuff, it's the truth, it's the facts. And I want every single person to win in the long run. So you can look up the Visa surcharge requirements. This is their stuff. And I'm not going to go all of it, but it's laid out. Where can I? And now it's obviously outdated. Like I said, you can now, there's only 2 states left on there, but it has where do I begin? Who can I surcharge? How can I do it? Having this information as a third-party provider will help you win businesses when you walk into situations and accounts that are adding fees to transactions and doing it wrong. Who are they going to believe? They're going to believe me that sits there and says it, or they're going to go, hey, look, here's the website. I'll just pull it up online on my laptop. This is what Visa has to say. I don't know who set you up with that program, but they obviously either don't know their stuff, they're not the expert they claim to be, or they didn't care. And if they didn't care, are they really out here to help your business? Or do they have selfish intent? So understanding Visa surcharge requirements. This is some examples of 2 surcharge signage. Literally, like it's calling it out. We impose a surcharge on credit cards that is not greater than our cost of acceptance. That's a surcharge rule. Communication of that is part of the surcharge guidelines. We impose a surcharge of X on the transaction amount on MasterCard and Visa card credit products, right? Credit card products, which is not greater than our cost of acceptance, and we do not surcharge Visa and MasterCard debit cards. That is very clear on a registered surcharge program. So let's talk about the customer experience on surcharging. Customer needs to clearly see the signs and experience of adding a surcharge for credit transactions prior to getting the merchandise and prior to purchasing. They want the signs on the door. They want it in there. Before I make a decision to buy, I need to know and be comfortable that they are going to surcharge me if I use my credit card. Fee is added to credit card transactions. This can be a flat fee or it can be a percentage. No fee can be added to any debit transactions regardless of how it is ran, treated the same as cash. That needs to be part of the customer experience and explained as such. American Express has their own rules, but I'm not going to go into all those, Google them. It just simply goes, must meet competitive limits. So American Express and Discover the same way, they can actually get really picky about surcharging if the customer doesn't create an experience that they're happy with. If American Express or Discover feels that the implementation of surcharging is making people use other card brands as opposed to American Express or Discover, they could file complaints against that merchant. They could turn off the ability to accept those cards. When is paying a fee, and this is just one of my things from a customer experience perspective, and I'll ask anybody, when was the last time anybody was forced to pay a fee to conduct a transaction of any kind and thought of it as a good experience? Right? We used to make jokes about it with our cell phone bills, all the extra fees, right? Adding a fee to a transaction just to make a purchase, it can be a 10. And you guys may have heard me use this analogy in other trainings. I go into a bike shop, and it's awesome. They've got great products, super knowledgeable and friendly staff. They got, the coolest store in the world. They got music playing. Heck, they gave me a beer while I was looking at bikes. I don't know, whatever. But I'm sitting here wanting to post and be like, this store's amazing. It was a 10. Now I'm buying a mountain bike, and you're wanting to do what for me to pay for that mountain bike? That 10, I might still do it, but that 10 went to an 8. Right? You make me pay a fee, and it's a fee because fees are never psychologically associated as a good thing. You just knocked my experience down, and now instead of me possibly sharing that on social, I don't. So what did I just cost that merchant? What we just talked about in attention because of the way I implemented a program. Let's talk about cash discount, the industry version. The processing industry created this to circumvent surcharging and accomplish the same thing. Right? That's where it came up from. They go, hey, we like the idea of surcharging. We just don't want to wait the 45 days. We want to make it easier. We don't want to deal with the stuff with American Express and Discover. And unfortunately, they looked at debit and everything too. But it essentially sits there and says a fee is added to all transactions. And then when a cash is used, the fee is discounted, and this is called a cash discount. Attempts to use the legal wording, merchants are allowed to offer cash discounts in the Durbin stuff, is the justification of why they say this is okay. Here's one of the other disadvantages. All you're selling is a fee. Okay? Who is willing to charge a smaller fee? And we're all seeing that already. I watch the comments on Facebook, and then what's funny is the people that get pissed off at somebody that's doing a fee now at 3.5%, oh, you're just racing to the basement. All you're selling is a fee. It's a freaking commodity. If you're willing to make less for it, why not? You're going to villainize that? You're selling a fee. Somebody's going to come along and be willing to make less money to add a fee. Because if all they're doing is adding a fee, that's pretty simple. Anybody can do that, right? So let's look at what the card brands have to say on these rules, right? A merchant must not directly or indirectly require any cardholder to pay a surcharge or any part of the merchant discount or any contemptuous finance charge in connection with the transaction. And then MasterCard gets even more subjective with it, and purposeful. For the purpose of this rule, a surcharge is any fee charged in connection with a transaction that is not charged in any other payment method. So what MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover, honestly what they're all looking at, let's just break it down, is if I have a cash transaction that does not have a fee, and I have the exact same purchase, exact same store, and a credit transaction, and it has a fee, that is surcharging. I don't care how you got there. I don't care what signs you have. I don't care the process. At the end of the day, that is surcharging. Fee, no fee. Now, I will say one of the experience things, and this is where it's getting a little bit grayer, is a fee is added to all transactions, period. Okay, and they may call that a service fee, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Then when cash is used, the wording very clearly says, if you use cash, we will offer you a discount of 4%. They don't say a removal of the fee, right? The fee still exists, because technically you can add a fee to every transaction. And then I can also offer a discount if somebody's paying in cash. But that's going to move into the true definition of cash discounting, which we're going to talk here in a second about. But here's some of your cash discount as the industry says it's signage. And I put these in the trainings. This is nothing new. This is out there. You can Google it. You can see it. But it is the idea of adding a fee to every transaction and calling the removal of that fee the cash discount. The customer experience on cash discount. And this is what I find funny, right? When you really lay it out, it's ridiculously complicated. It really is. And I'm actually going to do it, right? So I use this in the training, but put yourself in a merchant's shoes, and I'm going to teach my minimum wage high school kid that comes in afterwards to help deal with a disgruntled customer who was just in last week that bought something and didn't have to pay a fee. And I do this when I walk in and see a cash discount customer doing it this way, I'll kind of chime it up because I want to hear the owner or the employee try to explain it. So I'll pick up an item. Let's say I go into a store. Hey, this Coke, I see it's $1. And I see you're doing cash discount. And I'll pull out $1 out of my pocket. So that means if I pay with cash, I pay less than $1? Well, no, not really. What we do is we add a fee to every transaction. So you're adding a fee for me just to come in and be a customer? Well, yeah, we did that instead of raising our prices. Okay, but I still pay less than $1 because cash discount means you're paying less than what's listed. Well, no, we add a fee to it, but if you pay with cash, that's actually our cash discount. You see what I'm saying? Like, it sounds stupid. When you really try to walk through explaining it to somebody who doesn't understand or has a problem, it sounds dumb. It's complicated. And you're never going to create a great customer experience when things are complicated. Why do you have to add a service fee to buy an X product? Like, why? Like, I see people adding COVID fees. Great, that's an easy explanation. Hey, look, instead of changing all of our pricing, as long as we have to buy extra cleaning supplies, masks, gloves, all of this stuff, we just added a COVID fee to every transaction. Cash, credit, check, gift card, whatever. Because there's an added expense based on a circumstance. That's easy. That's different than a service fee. I already talked about when is adding a fee a good thing. Fee is added to debit transactions. How many guys have seen cash discount programs out there with a fee on a debit transaction? Most of them do. Well, like we just talked about in the rules, you are not allowed to add a fee at all to any debit transaction. As the customers start to get more educated, this will become more problematic. I'm telling you, it's not here yet, and it might be a couple years out. But the more these programs get bigger in popularity, eventually the spotlight gets shined on them, and people will get more educated. And then people will start asking questions. They will understand what the experience is supposed to be like and what it's not supposed to be like. Then you will see the rise in chargebacks, customer complaints, customer dissatisfaction, and me personally, that's where I refuse from noble intent to ever want to put my customers in that place of. Why do you, and so this is a great question. And I remember Years ago, when the first cash discount programs really started to become mainstream, how many of you guys remember them using the gas stations as an excuse or as an example? Well, the gas stations all do it. Do they? Do they do it the way that the industry is implementing cash discount? No, they don't. They have two prices. They have a go with true cash discount, that's a negative. Now all of a sudden these $52 jeans are $52, where next door they could be $50. But the net result still is the same. And then I went ahead and put in the Durbin Amendment quote right here, right? Cash discount programs are legal in all 50 states per the Durbin Amendment. Part of the 2010 trade file law, which states that businesses are permitted to offer a discount to customers as an incentive for paying with cash. This is what's been twisted in the other direction to say I can add a fee and remove a fee and call that cash discount. When in reality, when you look at the true definition, this was the spirit of how that law and the wording was written. That yes, if I'm selling something for X price, I can sell it for less if somebody wants to pay with cash. I can incentivize cash payment by doing that. Not adding a fee or removing a fee, but you're creating a situation that they're trying to use it in a way other than it was intended, and that's just one meeting in Congress and decisions away from changing. So what is Edge? And I hit this in the trainees, and then we're going to have drinks afterwards, so I need one. What Edge is not. It's not surcharging. It's not cash discounting for the competition's definition. And it's not cash discounting in the true definition, although it can support that. Like I said, I wanted to educate people on all of the different programs in this space, but I also want to make sure that you understand wording matters. And if you've experienced an issue with a merchant that has had a complaint violation come through our compliance department, I have seen plenty of them. And it's usually because the wording or the execution matters and they didn't do it right. They use the wording cash discount. The merchant even refers to it as adding a fee. I'm trying to offset my credit card pricing because the sales partner didn't implement it the right way and created the problem because things didn't align the way they should. So the Edge program is that dual price model you experience at a gas station. Edge is saying this can is $1 in cash or $1.04 in card. Edge is not adding a fee to any transaction. Edge can charge the higher price on a debit transaction, just like gas stations can. I insert my debit card into a gas pump that's doing a dual price model. I enter my PIN number. I've got the receipts. I've got the pictures if you guys want to see them. I am charged the higher price. They have a cash price and they have a card price. Edge allows us to remove the debit issue from the conversation as a whole. When you change the positioning and you're not dealing with a fee, you no longer have to worry about the rules that the fee implements. Does that make sense? That's what we wanted to do with Edge. That's why it's important to execute and sell it the right way. Use the right terminology, train people correctly. And there's the sticker right there. Forgot to put that in there. As soon as you talk, as soon as you use the wording cash discounting in your marketing, in your sales pitch, in your training, the minute your merchant uses cash discounting in a questionnaire back when there's a violation complaint, they have no other choice if they want to be compliant to follow the rules of saying this is reduced when people pay with cash. You cannot answer a compliant violation with any other terminology. Personally, this is why I don't sell cash discount programs. I sell a dual price program. I don't ever sell my merchants to say, use the word cash discount. I say, do not use the word cash discount. Unless you're literally giving a discount on your item per price, don't use the word of it. Unless you're willing to change all of the listed pricing to the higher price and offer it on our Edge program that way, don't use that terminology. Build a different experience. Some variables to consider as well. And this is, I wanted to spin this off because it's still dealing with the same space, but something that people are not considering. Dumb, simple question. At home, guys, again, you can answer, raise your hands for my enjoyment, because I just know you will or you won't. How many of you guys have paid more with QR codes in the last 6 months than ever before? Are those card present transactions or card not present transactions? Card not present transactions. Do those have a higher interchange price to them or do they not?
Yes.
Okay, so now all of a sudden, I sell an account, and I'm going to use Paradise. I'm going to pick on Paradise because they're one of our solutions where you can do QR codes. So now what happens if I sell, and this is important to understand, whether you sell it as cash discount, Edge, or whatever else. I sell a merchant that's a $15 average ticket, okay, let's say it's a, I don't know, a little diner or something, and they're running Paradise, and they go to implement the QR codes, and all of a sudden 50% of their customer base starts paying by QR code. What just happened to the cost of card acceptance? What just happened to the profitability if I have them on edge? Okay? What can happen on a small ticket that may already have smaller margins, depending on card mix and everything else, because the debit cards and everything else used? You can actually create a loss by implementing QR code transactions in small ticket edge accounts. These are the things people aren't thinking about when they're selling this type of space program, but we need to start thinking about it. Until the laws change, until the card brands start recognizing that it's actually more secure for me to pay with my phone on a QR code than to pull my card out and insert a chip that can be stolen, and those costs come down, those are the things we need to start mixing in when we're selling in this space. Are you wanting to take QR code payments? Yes, we are. Okay, now we need to look at average ticket. You need to start looking at the same way as a small ticket merchant, where maybe you need to add a transaction fee to maintain profitability. Again, one of these educational moments when you're talking about the changes in this space. E-commerce, and I mentioned this earlier on the Bigcommerce piece. People don't want to hear it, but e-commerce falls under a different set of rules than surcharging. Okay, e-commerce, true e-commerce transactions fall under convenience fee guidelines with the card brands. Google them. Okay, I didn't make this stuff up, but there is a whole training thing I did, and I showed all the different changes that you have to make to a website to try to implement a convenience fee on an e-commerce website. It's not easy. And again, from a customer experience perspective, the more friction you add in an e-commerce a transaction, the more you will drive up cart abandonment. People buy on Amazon for a reason. Click and it's on my doorstep in 2 days. Easy. Right? Don't you think as big as Amazon is, that if you could successfully do cash discounting or even convenience fee in an e-commerce platform, they'd be doing it? But they're not. Because they know it will cost them sales. And they're about as frictionless as you can get in an e-commerce setting. You have the ability to take cash transactions. Again, we've seen that more and more. People don't even want to take cash transactions. How can you have a dual price model? How can you create a good customer experience even with Edge if somebody can't take cash? Might as well just charge a higher price then all the time. Right? Solutions that are adding a fee and keeping it. Now this is one of the things that you can do, and I wanted to educate people on this. How many people understand third-party fee addition in transactions? Okay. This is one of the rules in the card brand space and everything else where a fee can be added to a credit transaction and then be perfectly fine. It's when it's added by a third-party technology company and kept by that third-party technology company. One of the emerging products, and I hope we get them into the NAB family soon, is GoTab. GoTab is a perfect example of this. They do not charge a fee if they go up and pay face-to-face, but GoTab drives a lot of their customer experience through the phone. If I want to order at the phone, get a text message when my beer is ready for me to pick up at the bar, and pay with QR with my phone, they charge a transaction fee, and they keep it as a technology fee. We don't get that as sales partners. The technology company does. That is allowable. So the reason I want to cover that is you're going to start seeing more and more and more of those. Toast, I think I saw an article where they're looking at doing that for their card not present transactions through QR codes. They're looking at charging like $1. Man, your $8 beer all of a sudden becomes $9. That's crazy. Okay? And it's a technology fee. They're not sharing that with the merchant or anything else. They're keeping it. So understand, because I want you all to be educated. I don't want you to sit there and see Toast or somebody else doing and adding a fee as a technology fee. You're not allowed to do that because, yes, they are. They're keeping it. They're not sharing it. It's not going to the merchant. It's not covering expenses. Now, what these technology companies do, like what GoTab's doing, it keeps the cost down on everything else. That's a major part of their business model. So now their SaaS is only $99 a month, and we add a 1% and 10-cent transaction fee to all only e-commerce transactions, their card not present transactions. So now they're trying to use their technology to drive the customer engagement, the customer experience. They keep the SaaS down, and they make the money on that. That's cool with me. If merchants decide they want to pay that because they want to offer that through their customer experience, then great. Right now, you're going to have a harder time, in my opinion, if you're not dealing with a younger generation and in a major market of people wanting to pay an extra fee to order my beer through a phone versus telling a bartender I'll take it. But for the speed, trust me, I've sat through some of the stuff on the GoTab and some of these other ones that are trying to do that. It's slick. The idea of not having to wait on a server to come to me and sit there and go, I want another beer. And then I get a text, it's ready for you to pick up, and I can just get up from my seat and pick it up myself and drink it. That's awesome. It's why QR codes are making a big deal in the bowling alleys and everything else, like what like Jesse talked about earlier. I put it in a bowling alley for that reason. I said, guys, you want to beat the other bowling alleys in your town? You can create an experience that none of them else are creating. Why do they have to wait to get a beer from you? You're going to sell more beer because they're going to order more at the lanes, and they're going to have more fun on league night than they would at the other place. But again, if you do Paradise on Edge, every single one of those QR code transactions has a higher cost. Understand that. Know that. All right, and I somehow didn't update my takeaways. So I'm going to come up with these on the fly. I remember that. Number one, put together battle cards to compete against other programs. Right? And by battle cards, I mean kind of like that checklist. Here's the other different programs, or if it's Edge versus this, Edge versus surcharging, Edge versus cash discounting, something that you can leave behind with your merchants that says, here's your current experience, here's what needs to be created, here's what the law says, here's what you're doing. Right? Third-party validation. And honestly, I'm so spent, I can't remember what I wrote down as the other two that did not do it. I'll come up with two, and I'll send it out in the deck. All right, so real quick, before we go have drinks, sorry everybody at home, I get to be the fun guy and pass out drink tickets. I hope you can have one with us at some point physically. If not, grab a drink when we're done and just enjoy it where you're at. Before I pass these out, does anybody have any questions on this session, the different spaces? Now's the time to fire away. And remember, we need to have the microphone float around so people at home can hear you, because they may have the exact same questions that you were going to ask.
Earlier you said NFT is Web 3.0. What is NFT?
Non-fungible tokens. So the ability to sit there and buy. So imagine, are you a sports fan at all, Bob?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite team?
Cowboys.
Okay, so anyways, I'll use that example as much as it may pain me. So when you're going to go to a Cowboys game and watch them lose to the Redskins someday, instead of buying a physical ticket, okay?
They're never going to lose to that team again.
I know. So imagine, instead of buying a physical ticket, you buy a tokenized ticket. And all of a sudden you buy an experience. You have it on your phone. And you can pay different levels. That ticket, instead of it just being the seat you got, and let's say it's $50, let's say it's $300. And with that token, I can walk into one of the merchandise stores, show them that, and pick out the jersey of the player and size I want. I can walk up and with that token get the beers that I already have. So when you digitize an experience, this is just one way to do it, right? This is what NFTs can be, right? You actually can take an experience and create amazing things. You can get access for people. You can do all kinds of stuff, and it's all digital. And also, a lot of this can be paid for through cryptocurrency. So like Gary Vee's VFriends is one of the biggest ones right now that hit. So he hand wrote his art, which just got sold on Christie's, which is wild, right? But he created this, it's all digital, right? It's these digital experiences where people can buy one of his VFriends, and with that, based on the level, it gave him access to things. One of the things that it gave him access to was VCon. So Gary Vee, over the next 3 years, is going to have a private conference, and the only way you can go is if you hold one of his NFT tokens. That's it. That's your access. That's your ticket. Now, they can be sold as well. Okay, so let's say you buy your Cowboys experience for $350, but now all of a sudden somebody's willing to go, you know what, I want that experience, I'll pay you $800 for it. And you can transfer the experiences. The other backside of NFTs, it becomes the same thing like social media or those kind of things. I mean, you can look through somebody's story and see where they went and what they did. Having a digital wallet that goes, oh man, I was at that game. I watched the Cowboys lose on a last-second pass to Santana Moss because I was there. See? Like it tracks that experience and gives validity to the things that you do. Anyways, I had to run that in there. Any other questions? Edge, cash discount, surcharging, anything whatsoever. You got something online?
I got one online that says,
How do we get to the Monday Edge overview?
So contact partnerrelations.com, or sorry, partnerrelations@anybankcard.com, and just send them an email that you want the training links, and they have it all. So they send out the calendars, and I'll put it on the Facebook group too. How's that sound? I'll drop another link on the Facebook group for this Mondays. You need the microphones.
we got more online.
Oh, one more online, and then we'll go to me.
Couldn't you use Edge higher price for QR orders if they are using their card?
So Edge is flat rate pricing, okay? Part of flat rate pricing is it doesn't matter how the card is used. If I put somebody on 3.8461, it doesn't matter if it's a debit card that's run. It doesn't matter if it's a low-end credit card that's run, if it's a high-end American Express Delta card, or a card not present transaction run, it's still 3.8461. You're still billing them at a flat rate.
Okay, for the Edge program, so the first receipt, do they have any like a non-cash fee show when you show the ticket to the customer?
So the idea of, like I said, the minute you add a fee to a transaction, even if it's called a non-cash adjustment, a non-cash fee, or anything like that, you're automatically moving it into a fee-based program, which falls under the fee guidelines.
This is after they pay it, before they pay.
Even before, yeah, we can talk a little bit about that because I think I know where you're going with it from a technology perspective. The after the pay is the biggest one.
Yes,
The before, I wouldn't want to have a fee on it before you pay, personally, because I would view that as a negative part of the experience. You know what I mean? Like what we've done in a hospitality when we work with different point of sale companies. So imagine, and I think this is more the direction you're going with your question, is if it's a table service restaurant, you don't know how they're going to pay yet. You don't know if they're going to pay with cash or with credit. So even if it runs Edge and the finalized ticket is itemized with the cash price or the credit price, when I take that initial itemized ticket to the table so people can see the total, what do I use? What I've told people in the past is use the pricing that shows in your menu. If you're listing your menu pricing as cash prices with disclaimers on every page, then have the itemized one say cash total, and then down below it have card total. And that way on the receipt, instead of it being a line item or a fee or anything like that, and therefore, because the minute, think about it, even in that situation, if there's a fee on there and I take a picture of that and send it to some card brands, now there could be a complaint violation. And even if there's not, because the finalized, you really want to make the merchant jump through the hoops of filling out the paperwork and doing it. I mean, it's just, we want to avoid that at all costs. So I would have a cash total of $100, card total $104. So at least I know the two different totals, even if the itemized one comes back with individually higher priced items when I use my card. That's how Mint does it, that's how Paradise does it, and on those perspectives. Any other questions before we go get a drink?
Are you thirsty?
We'll call it that, I'm thirsty. All right, closing comments. Guys, you all, and ladies, you are professionals. I wanted to do what did you learn today and get some feedback, but I think everybody's pretty well spent. I don't have the agenda yet for November, but we are going to do a virtual one in November. I'll get that agenda built and put out as soon as possible. You will be getting a deck. Everything that I went through today, you will be getting sent in the next couple days. I want to thank ChargeZoom again for sponsoring this, and Matt's back here. And if you're not part of our Facebook group, please join our group. If you took pictures, share them, send them to me, because like I take pictures of the other presenters. I don't ever take pictures of myself presenting. Like I want to share some of these experiences with people that hopefully will use it and come to future pieces, right? Future events. I mean, my brain is fried. But you guys, like I opened up, we're professionals. Like train and prepare like professionals do. Investing in yourself, taking the time to come to these, to attend the virtual ones, is the easiest thing you can do when you train and prepare as professionals. I know some of you guys are thinking, hey, it's hard to give up one day a month and I could be out selling, but if you sell, I mean, think about it. You give up one day a month and you sell one more account per month on the other days that you're out selling because you were here just one. Wasn't it worth it?
Yeah.
So the time that you invest, we don't even charge for these things. The time and energy that you invest will yield results if you execute on it. If you sit here and consume all of this great stuff, nod your heads, give applause, have fun with everybody, but you don't take it and execute on it, then it's just a good time. So on that note, thank you for joining me for a great time. Thank you for joining for another thing. Everybody at home, thank you for hanging out with us. Soon, hopefully you'll be able to join us in person, grab a drink. Everybody else here? So see me for tickets in a minute. I'm going to come back and clean this up. The drinks are at the Wine Thief. It's the bar next to this one. So go out the doors by like the bathroom.